deposit required. 7,500 EV lease bonus not available for cash. Subject to credit approval, dealer participation, and vehicle availability. $49.99 due at signing for well-qualified leases. See dealer for complete details. The 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty is a Billberg Kia warranty. Must take delivery from dealer stock through 9/5/23.
At Bay Breeze Bait and Tackle, you can find all the necessary items for an unforgettable fishing experience. From pin rods and reels to the best hand-tied rigs in Florida, we have it all. With the help of our friendly and knowledgeable staff, you can be sure that you have the right gear to make that big catch. Come experience a great local bait and tackle shop located directly off 98 on the west end of Panama City Beach, located just 5 miles west of Pier Park.
Hello, this is Rick Vossen with RV of Panama City, your local Stormore portable building dealer, located at 2241 East Baldwin Road. Shopping for a garage, portable building, cabin? We build them anywhere from 8 to 16 foot wide, 10 feet to 60 feet long. We can do insulation, electricity, transom dormers, thermal windows. Come, let's customize a building together. Rick Vossen, Stormore Portable Building Dealer, Panama City.
Your biggest investment is your home. Protect it while also improving its appearance with Earthworks of Northwest Florida. We have sand, mulch, gravel, or lay-down decorative stone, all available for pickup and delivery. Discover your dream landscape with Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Imagine the moment you proudly pull up to your home that you've worked so hard for, enhanced by quality mulch, decorative stones, and more. Let's make it happen today. Request a quote online at earthworkspc.com or swing by the office at 2005 Industrial Drive. Love the land you live on.
Ben and Deb Collins, owners of Bay Guns and Gear, have been in business since 2010, offering new firearms and accessories with a huge selection available for your hunting needs and personal defense. Turn to Bay Guns and Gear. They have the weapon for you. Discount pricing. And if you can't find what you're looking for, they'll special order it for you. Bay Guns and Gear, across from Grease Pro at 3115 Highway 77. Visit their website, baygunsandgear.com.
Hey, Dad, how do airplanes fly? What's in this box? Can I touch this? Where does sand come from? Is this tree good for climbing? What happens if I mix these two things together? How are babies made? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Talking to them about gun safety in your home is a good first step, but you can do more. Always keep your guns locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Storing your guns securely is the best way to prevent family fire, including unintentional shootings. For more information on safe gun storage and ways to keep your family safe, visit endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org.
What do we keep in the attic? What's this thing called? Can I ride my bike backwards?
Like I said, kids are curious. It's up to us to keep them safe. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
We're the radio home of the Mosley Dolphins. WGSX Lynn Haven, Field, Q, Port St. Joe. ESPN Northwest Florida. Get ready.
Deep center field and heading for the horizon.
Sports Talk Radio will never be the same.
Onion pickles, onions, pickles.
The Afternoon Underdogs.
Way back and gone.
On ESPN.
Northwest Florida.
And we are live from the Doghouse. This is the Afternoon Underdogs right here on ESPN Northwest Florida, live on 104.3 here in Panama City, 101.9 in Port St. Joe. The Afternoon Underdogs consist of Tyler Bishop, Max DeLayden, and David Hayes. And we've got a lot of stuff to get into today, especially one of you guys' favorite segment, Your Minute with Max, where we're going to talk a little baseball. Who knows how much baseball we're going to talk this afternoon. All the baseball. Oh, man. All right, so let me get through my formalities first. You can give us a call or text today, 850-215-6290. Same number for call or text. We've got about 39 minutes, rather, till we get into the race to Daytona at the end of the 420 segment, we will announce who it is that is going to be on the clock today. You got to call in, and however long it takes you to call in is going to be your qualifying time. The fastest qualifying time is going to get a trip to Daytona for the race this Saturday. So make sure you're tuned in. I've already got the name picked out with the random wheel generator. And our fastest time to this point is Travis with a time of 4.9 seconds. And your Atlanta Braves are on after the Afternoon Underdogs tonight at 6 o'clock. First pitch tonight at 6:20. Hopefully we can get a little better result than what we saw last night. Definitely not a great performance from Winans.
Yeah, man. I don't know what to expect from him, though, you know.
Where's the second start?
You guys are going to be fine tonight.
Yeah.
You got Elder on the mound. You guys light up McGill. It's the Mets.
That's what I said yesterday, though. It's the Mets. Like, we're coming off of a loss. I felt like they was going to bounce back. Like, regardless of the outing that Winans had, it was going to be one of those situations where the offense, and the offense, what they put up, was it 10-4, 10-6?
10-4. Ozuna had 2.
Yeah.
He's been on fire.
Dude.
It's a good time to get hot.
Right, and right now, you know, in fantasy baseball, or at least me, I'm a guy who's like, I don't care who I've had with me all year. Like, my goal is
what do you do for me
to
now?
win. What's that?
It's like, what are you doing for me now?
Right, exactly. So there's a couple of guys that had gotten stale on my roster, and so I was like, well, you know, I don't like to carry Braves players. I don't like to carry Titans players in fantasy football, which isn't a huge deal because what are they producing?
But Braves, you can make the that
this
offense
year,
is
right?
nuts.
No doubt. But still, I don't want to jinx them though. So there's that. Which, in all reality, I know that I'm not jinxing them. Their play is.
Don't add Matt Olson, man.
There you go. But so it came down to Ozuna and Rosario were both on the. Were on the waiver wire, and so I ended up going with Rosario because. He's not going to play every day, so I don't have to have him in my lineup every day. He's going to be one of those guys. Oh, this Matt McClain got postponed, so I'll throw someone else into shortstop, Bobby Witt Jr., baby, which I'm so glad I held on to him just because of how the year started for him and where he's at now.
Top 5 asset.
Yeah.
He's looking good.
I got Freddie Freeman, Bobby Witt Jr.,
Jeez.
JT Real Muto.
You're stacked.
Yeah, man. And look, the next closest, I've made 30, probably 39 roster moves to this point. The next closest person's like 19.
You're savvy. You're on it.
Yeah. Well, you know,
you got to defend the brand. You're an ESPN broadcaster.
There you go. There's that. But I've also been like top 2 for, you know, the last few years.
You got a title
over there. So yeah. No, I do have a title. I am. Yeah, I think I'm defending champion right now.
Let's go.
And I was in 7th place not too long ago.
Nice.
Now I'm in 4th. Watch out. Just beat the number 2 team in the league.
Let's go.
Categories or points? Which one do you prefer?
Categories.
I've always played categories. I don't think I've played it any other way.
I don't really like points that much. I think categories is a little more skill, too.
Yeah?
Like streaming pitchers. And
yeah. Oh, that's the toughest one. Here's a question I have for you, and we're going to get in some football, Tyler. Don't fret.
Hey, we're good.
No, but here's a question I have for you. When it comes to your pitching, right? What do you have? 8 spots or so pitching. Yeah. Let's just say 8. But how many starters and how many relief pitchers should you have?
That's a good question. So
and I guess it depends on your categories.
If you're saves or save holds.
We've got saves and holds.
We have save holds too.
No, not like save holds in the same category. Like save is a category and holds is a category.
Oh man, if you have 8, man,
I don't know if it's 8. Like without looking at it, there's just so many daggone players.
8,
yeah.
I usually try and have like 5 relievers to try and stack the
relievers.
Ratios a little bit on ERA and WHIP, and then saves and holds.
Oh, you know who I just picked up? I think I picked up the kid from the Nationals, Kenneth Fairbanks.
Yeah.
And then Adzale.
Oh, there you go, dude. He's been money.
Yeah.
He's been good.
And I got your boy, who's y'all starting pitcher this year that's been...
Justin Steele.
Yes.
Top 5 in Cy Young.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. He's good, man. In our ESPN league, it's a smaller league that I do. But I got the bye. I'm the 2 seed in it, and it's
y'all are already in playoffs.
Yeah, they do it earlier in this league.
It makes sense though. We talked about this yesterday.
It's like a super heavy like football fan league. It's like they don't.
You lose focus by the time you get into September.
Addendum this year, but
right.
since I had the bye too, I used my bye just to like stack my Monday, Tuesday pitchers.
Yeah.
So this guy playing in the semifinals has no shot. 'Cause he carries almost all relievers, so I just made it horrible for him.
It makes sense though doing it like that. I think our final week is like the final week of the regular season,
which is
or whatever.
fun though. Too.
Yeah, I'm that way.
That's
in
how
any
my
fantasy sports.
intense one is.
How many players do y'all have? I want to say our league's probably smaller than yours.
It's 12.
12 in your league? Yeah, we've got 8. That's why my team's so stacked.
Still though.
Yeah, no doubt. But I mean, everyone's got the same amount of players and the same opportunities and stuff. But I think like 4 years ago, and I don't know if you've ever played like this before. 4 years ago, it was one of those leagues where you had to set your roster Monday, and it was locked.
I'm
like
in one like that.
I
don't like that. It's not as.
I get it for the baseball fan who doesn't want to change it up daily, but if Tuesday afternoon or Tuesday Freddie goes down, then for the rest of the week, my lineup is out of whack.
Yeah.
So and they've changed it obviously, and so
yeah, my most like important one to me, I'm in like a daily one. So
yeah,
there's strategy behind it, and like. You know, you can have Morel playing one day for me and then Altuve the next night. So
yeah. You a big ad drop guy as well?
Yeah, we have a limit. I think it's only 7 a week. But
7 a week?
Yeah.
That's not bad,
but
though,
for
because
pitching, it's huge.
Yeah, for pitching
and it carries prospects because it's a dynasty, so it rolls over every year.
Would you hold on to Sandy Alcantara?
Oh.
He's been on my roster all year long, but
is
now
it dynasty or is it?
It is. So last year, we just kind of restarted with a brand new draft. But in the past, it has been like pretty much keep as many as you want.
Yeah, I would hold on to him.
Yeah.
I think he's still going to come around.
Yeah.
He's so good.
It's been a tough one because you sit there and you look at like his ranking and it's in the 600s and you go, look at the players list and there's like so many guys, but it's so hard to look at that number and be like, well, he's the 641st best worst pitcher or whatever, when these other guys have thrown like 10 innings, and of course it's going to look a little bit better for them.
And like you can say this about a lot of pitchers, but this series had just the bad luck of having one bad inning every start, and that's just his one thing. Like all his other ones shutout innings, then he gives up 4 in like the 5th inning. But
I'm going to say
some fatigue.
I do want to talk a little bit about the Yankees. I was going to throw you under the bus, or not throw you under the bus, but just
throw me under the bus. I'm tired.
No, but Wander Franco going to the administrative list now, and I read a little deeper dive from Jeff Passan, and it didn't go that much deeper, other than to say because they said girls, and it is 2 girls now. But you have one that's dealing with the police, and the others essentially is there's an investigation into it, but it was technically a lawsuit. And she's already deleted her Instagram and all of that stuff. But then you have the other one who, she's
pretty vocal.
She's went to the police, and the police are dealing with that.
Wait,
and
so how does this get me thrown under the bus?
No, that's why I said I used it wrong, but like kind of put you to the fire or whatever. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah. On the spot.
Put you on the spot. There you go.
It's bad, especially with how they've handled it. Like. The MLB kind of made a pivot after the Chapman and Ozuna stuff, and Roberto Ozuna too. Although his career is pretty much over now.
Yeah.
But after with Trevor Bauer, they really made a statement, and knocked him into playing in Japan. Like he basically got blackballed from the league. Might come back.
But how much of that suspension? I think that we've all at least went down this rabbit hole some with Trevor Bauer was the fact that Trevor Bauer was exploiting some of what the league was doing, and the sticky tack and all of that stuff, and like going on YouTube and saying, "Here, guys, this is how we do it, youngins." You know what I mean?
Exactly. And sometimes being the tool can catch up with you, and I don't think he went for the, I don't care what anyone thinks about me, to the, now I care because I'm playing in Japan. And he was in the minor leagues briefly in Japan too. But I don't know, maybe. And I don't know. All
right, so let me ask you this though.
Wander's another Rachel Luba client,
right? Well, with Wander, so he's on the administrative list, but he's still getting paid.
Yeah,
he's getting his $2 million. But with Trevor Bauer, it wasn't that way, and it's a rarity that they're still getting paid on the administrative list. So I wonder because regardless of what they have been told or whatever, the league. They still have to prove one of 3 things when it comes to domestic violence, sexual assault or sexual abuse, and child abuse.
Which is it's interesting too, because the Bauer thing was so much more talked about. And I know he was a very vocal player in the league, but Wander's obviously someone they've been trying to market in a more, prolific talent at his age too, and
yeah,
had a lot of hype behind him in that Rays team. And man, if we were talking back in April, like when the Rays started out like 21-2 or 21-3, it's just crazy to see how much has crumbled with Springs, Rasmussen, McClanahan now, Bass has still been out, Glass now will inevitably have something come up.
I hate it too because he's one of my.
He's so talented.
Like if I'm playing the Fringe or if I'm playing MLB The Show Diamond Dynasty, like I'm always looking for a Tyler Glasnow card.
Exactly. Yeah, he's the man. But it's tough. You know, you can't be doing that.
No, and when, you know, because at first, you know, you hear the 14-year-old girl and all of that. Then you hear girls, and it's like, goodness, you know what I mean? Because in the beginning of this, I was trying not to overreact to it and just let's wait till the facts come out. And then now, not like a whole bunch of more facts have come out or even gone into great detail.
It doesn't look good though.
But it doesn't look good, and so therefore, I'm kind of off that train of it just is what it is.
And that's a guy that just committed $182 million to.
Yeah.
So he's supposed to be a franchise player for the next. And the Rays never do that. So they really believed in Wander Franco. And like you said, he had the attitude problems in the clubhouse, and it's not good. It doesn't look good. This is a case where I'm not sure he's ever going to play again. Like, I really believe that.
Your Midwestern accent just came out deeply when you said dollars.
Dollar.
I love it, man. Some sad news out of the Tennessee Titans. The father of the Tennessee Titans cornerback, Caleb Farley, died in an apparent explosion around midnight yesterday, or I guess Tuesday, that destroyed the NFL player's North Carolina home and also left another person injured. Robert M. Farley was the name of Caleb's dad. He was found dead in the debris of the Lake Norman, North Carolina house Tuesday morning, according to the Iredell County Fire Marshal's office. He also lost his mother back in 2018 to cancer, so this is a tough time right now for Caleb Farley. The Fire Marshal's office is continuing to investigate the cause of the collapse along with the North Carolina State Bureau of Investigation. And man, it's a $2 million house, or it was a $2 million house, all the way down to the rubble now, and over an explosion. Like, what in the world could have been going on? Just very sad situation for Caleb Farley. So thoughts and prayers with the Farley family. Baker Mayfield named quarterback one. We've had a few QB1s named to this point, NFL and collegiate. Graham Mertz, Carson Beck. Bama hasn't came out and said theirs yet, but again, I don't think, have we had any QB1s named or starting quarterbacks named that you've been like, oh man, that's mind blowing? Because I don't think that Baker Mayfield is going to be the quarterback for the rest of the year, but I think Baker Mayfield just in name starts over Kyle Trask in week one. And obviously they've
Trask's body language too, that he was not the starter on that interview, and there he's like, I control what I can control. You're like, okay, dude, you're not starting.
I think he could be the better quarterback though. Long run for 2023.
I don't think he's good though.
I mean, he's been in Tampa for 2 seasons now.
Who was the quarterback ahead of him?
No, I'm just saying, like, he's been in Tampa for 2 seasons now and hadn't impressed him enough to even hold off Baker Mayfield. It's not like Baker's been out here. I mean, I know he's played a lot in the league, but it's not like he's been dominating. It's not like they brought in a Deshaun Watson or a guy who had moments of, or even a Russell Wilson who struggled last year but has been great in the past, right? So, I mean, I really feel like if Trask was going to play significant minutes for the Bucs, he would be starting. I think he never plays significant minutes for the Bucs at this point.
Ooh, let's make a little pie in the face bet on that one. I think that Baker Mayfield loses the starting job not from injury. Now, if it's an injury, the bet is null and void. But if let's say this, what is the cutoff for that? What week would be the cutoff for that?
I mean, I would say if they're out of like playoff race and then they throw Trask out there, I don't think those are significant minutes. I guess.
Yeah. That's why I say I want to agree on this and not just. Go ahead.
Also, I think you guys have to have something in too where, like, if it's early, because they might have it early where Baker gets pulled, but it's not necessarily completely his fault with that roster they have. I mean, that line's pretty bad.
So that's kind of like the stipulation, though, right?
Yeah.
Is if we're out of the playoffs, if we're out of the playoffs, and you're sitting here week 15, then I'm with you on that. I seriously think that by week 6 or so, and I'm not gonna put money on or put a pie in the face or pie to the face for that, but it's by like week 6 or so, I think that Baker Mayfield's gonna throw enough interceptions where they throw in Kyle Trask. I'm not going to sit here and say that Kyle Trask is going to do better. I think that Kyle Trask will be playing about the same amount of significant minutes as Baker Mayfield.
You guys will do a pie in the face bet if we get a Georgia-Bama SEC championship game, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean,
why not?
100%.
Just making sure.
I've never had a pie to the face over a bet before. I've never even made that, myself make the bet. I always enjoy cleaning up the whipped cream afterwards.
I got Miles with a good one. Barrett still owes me one from the Georgia-Oregon game.
Yeah, I think we have another one on here that's owed to Drew Gorman from Nick Gurley over the pay. Or actually, no, it's to Drew Gorman from Nick Gurley. I can't remember the bet, though. It's about what team was going to finish better in the NFL last year, but I can't remember exactly what team it was.
I mean, I'm not saying I care enough about Kyle Trask to make a bet on. I'm just saying I think he would.
It's not about the betting part. It's about the entertainment.
I mean, I'm just saying, I think I think he would be starting if they thought he was the guy.
I feel that. We'll disqualify that bet and come up with something that you feel more passionate about. How about you, Max? You want to take that bet?
I mean, man, that's crazy. There's going to be 2 possible Gators quarterbacks starting in the league this year with Trask and AR.
Oh, yeah?
Because the state of Florida right now, that program, man, this is like the worst Florida team in a while. They're bad, dude.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
What's their win total? 4.5, 5?
I think it is 4.5, 5.5 maybe. I've got them going 5 and 7.
Like Utah, Rising hasn't even been able to practice yet, and Utah's still a 7-point favorite.
Oh, man, if Rising's not... I don't know. I think Florida could surprise people. They did last year. No one was really or was it more surprising that Utah was?
I think it was more surprising that Florida. Well,
the most surprising was the final game of the week.
I was going to say them
Florida
giving
State.
FSU a knee knocker there.
And kind of to your point with Anthony Richardson, though, I kind of feel like the Colts are doing it wrong. And I know a lot of people are big on if you're going to draft a guy that high, he might as well be playing. But if you're going to draft a guy that high and you want him to last and you don't even know what your best player on the roster is going to be doing, ease him in. Let him be on the sideline next to coach.
Yeah.
Gardner Minshew playing. That's I don't you know what I mean? Gardner Minshew, I'm not saying that Gardner Minshew gives you the best opportunity. No, what I'm saying is let him see how an NFL game goes for 3 games.
We could see some pretty Shacked and a fool interceptions between Anthony Richardson and Jordan Love to start the year.
We could. What about Sam Howell? I mean, there's a couple of guys.
There's a few guys where it's like,
he did good last night, or what? That was last night, right? Yeah.
Are quarterbacks at a low right now, or is this pretty standard? Like, because I feel like
I feel like the highs in the NFL are so high.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I feel like there are some lows. I mean, I feel like we'll have 3 rookie starters plus a first-year starter and Sam Howell. So, I mean, I don't think it's probably... And, I mean, Jordan Love is not a first-year starter. Well, I mean, he's a first-year starter.
First-year starter,
but...
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's just a huge gap in the experience on some of the teams. Like, we have some, elite guys like Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Aaron Rodgers. You have that kind of group up there, and then you've got these guys down here that we have absolutely no idea about. You can even throw, Trey Lance and Purdy to an extent, as a combo in that group.
So many question marks around.
Where does Hurts fall for you on that tranche?
Ooh, I don't know. I mean, I think he's a very good player. I don't think he's proven to be. I don't know if he should be considered a top 5 quarterback.
Yeah, top 7,
top 10,
top 10.
Yeah,
for me
sure.
all day.
For sure.
Yeah.
But I just don't. I don't want to see. I don't like 1-year wonders on quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I want to see consistency out of a quarterback. If you don't have a consistent quarterback, you don't have much.
I mean, maybe it works for what they do, but even putting Herbert back there would be pretty sweet.
Oh, I mean, there's a lot of teams you can put on that.
For
a lot of
the Eagles,
you can put on
but I see a guy who can sling it like that.
Right, but I think that it totally changes the dynamic of that offense because Philly's a team who will hit you in the mouth with the passing plays, score, and then they'll run the ball for not truthfully the rest of the game, but they'll run it down your throat once they get a lead.
Yeah.
And so I think with Jalen Hurts makes that rushing offense that much more dynamic. Whereas a guy like Herbert, got to throw the ball a little bit more. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. We're going to take a quick timeout. We'll be right back with Your Minute with Max Delyden.
ESPN Northwest Florida. The tradition continues.
That ball's going to be out of here.
America's team plays here.
Bombs away.
The Atlanta Braves are back and making a statement.
Ronald Acuna just clobbered one to left.
Listen to Atlanta Braves baseball in a rich audio experience live on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Here comes the thunder.
Sponsored by Billboard Kia, Reliable Hydraulic Solutions, Mid-South Lumber, Stormore Portable Buildings, and Brock Pest Control.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with your weather forecast on this Tuesday. Mostly sunny the remainder of the day with a gentle breeze around 10 miles per hour out of the west-southwest and temps near 93. We will have clear skies tonight and be quite warm, 83. And sunny throughout the day with a likelihood of thunderstorms in the evening tomorrow and a high 96. This forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for tuning into ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Take your next adventure in an eco-friendly all-electric Kia EV6 that gives you the movement that inspires. You can live fully charged while saving now and down the road on fuel costs. Schedule a test drive today and explore the electrified Kia vehicles at Billboard Kia. You have to drive it to believe it. Now offering $7,500 EV lease bonus when you lease a new 2023 Kia EV6 Wind Electric all-wheel drive for 36 months. You'll get the perfect balance of comfort, safety, and technology with a performance that minimizes the impact of our environment. Billboard Kia is the home of the 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. See us today at 2435 East 15th Street or BillboardKiaPanamaCity.com. We make it easy to switch to EV ownership and give you the peace of mind you can trust.
Close-in lease based on a new 2023 Kia EV6 model number N5452. No security deposit required. $7,500 EV lease bonus not available for cash. Subject to credit approval, dealer participation, and vehicle availability. $49.99 due at signing for a well-qualified lease and see dealer for complete details. The 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty is a Billboard Kia warranty. Must-take delivery from dealer stock through 9/5/23.
Hot takes, the latest trades, in-depth interviews.
That is my reaction.
We break it down for you right here.
Very big springboard for the rest of my career.
The Afternoon Underdogs.
That's the problem right there.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
And we are back. The Afternoon Underdog is on ESPN Northwest Florida, your home for the Atlanta Braves. The Atlanta Braves are sponsored locally by Best Way Portable Buildings, Dave & Buster's, PCB Hobby, and Gulf Coast Aquarium. Coverage starting tonight for the Braves at 6 o'clock. First pitch at 6:20. This is the Afternoon Underdogs on ESPN Northwest Florida. I'm David Hayes with Tyler Bishop and Max Delyden, and it is your Minute with Max. Max, what's going on, my friend?
Not much. How about the Cubbies, man?
How about them? How many games out are y'all?
Here. We're in right now.
In the wild card.
2.5 out of the
division. 2.5 behind the Brewers.
Yeah, I'm just happy to be a part of the conversation.
The start of the year, what was the percentage chance that you were giving your Cubs? It wasn't very high.
Not high. I think my preseason guess was 78 and 84, and they've exceeded. I mean, everyone's clicking though. Cody's clicking. Dansby's having some good pro at bats. Seiya Suzuki's been one of the hottest bats in the past month. Mm-hmm. He's just been having such good at bats. Mike Tauchman's been a good spark plug. Hap's been consistent. It's been fun to watch. On the right plugs. We've had guys like how the Braves had, like Javier Assad, who has always been kind of like a long relief guy, has been starting in place of Stroman with his injury or whatever you want to call what he's doing right now.
What is his injury again?
Well, it's funny you asked, David. First, it was a hip inflammation coming around August 2nd. He's been vocal about making extension talks, which I don't really love when players say that, because he still has one more year on his contract to opt in or opt out.
And we're in the middle of the season, bro.
Yeah, he was calling in the Cy Young basically 2 months into the season, acting because he was the best pitcher in the NL for a little bit.
Yeah.
Water Met level, he's back, middle of the pack, and he's definitely going to opt in now. He's not going to get paid what he thought he was going to get paid on the open market, but something had to have happened because Jed Hoyer, the Cubs president, and Carter Hawkins, the GM, and David Ross are all kind of confused by it. Jed's been the most vocal about it. He said, his hip inflammation he was slated to come back last week on Wednesday, and then just randomly had a rib injury, like a cartilage.
That's
rib
what
injury.
I thought it was when you said hip. I was like, I thought it was.
No,
ribs.
yeah. Which they're like, how does your hip inflammation
affect your ribs. Like maybe your lower back, I could get that, or maybe moving down to your hammies or
it's
quads.
Something else. I don't know, because no one's really happy about it. And it's kind of funny because our best pitcher on the team, Justin Steele, is probably the polar opposite of what Marcus Stroman is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's a gamer. He's a dude from middle of Mississippi. He just competes. I don't think they're the best of pals, and I don't know what Stroman's deal is because we're in the middle of a most important playoff race for the Cubs since 2019. 2020 doesn't really count with the COVID year,
right?
But it's
unless you're the Dodgers, right?
Yeah, we don't really acknowledge that.
A segment for maybe next offseason, since we're here in week 0, though, would be rank the 2020 championships. Like what? You know what I mean? Like what was the hardest sport to win in the bubble, and what was the easiest one to win in the bubble? Neither here nor there, though.
Yeah, honestly, the NHL one. There were so many teams in the NHL one.
Yeah.
The Blackhawks were in. We knocked out McDavid.
I want to talk about it later, though. Have you looked at the end of the schedule for your Cubs?
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, that's right now is where we got, like, you know, we have the Royals, Tigers, we have the Pirates in this week, and then I believe we have the Brewers, and then what? Do we play you guys down the stretch too?
Well, I'm saying the very end, the final 2 series of the season is at Atlanta and then at Milwaukee. Now, you do have a little bit of favor on the way there. Your 2 series before that is home against the Pirates and the Rockies.
Sweet.
So you can kind of make that move there.
Yep.
And then it's good that you've got the Brewers, though, final series of the season.
Man, I know we have like no chance of catching up to the Braves, so I'm the Braves' biggest fan right now. I want them to run away, clinch the 1 seed, rest of your guys, call up some
there you go, though. And it could work like that, but also
pitch Winans more.
I mean, y'all had a great series against us the last time in Wrigley. So
that's true. I mean, our best luck this year has actually been against AL East teams, surprisingly enough.
Really?
Yeah, even when the Rays were good, we were beating the Rays in series, beat the Orioles, the Yankees when they used to win baseball games, we beat them, the Red Sox. Dude, I mean, I'm glad to see both the New York teams floundering. I think most people are.
Yeah.
Because of just their MO.
Yeah. It's like
the Yankees are, I don't know how you want to correlate it, but how a lot of people who aren't, say, Bama, Georgia fans right now,
you don't got to dance
feel about them.
I mean,
I don't. Again, I don't feel like that because I'm from.
It's one of those things. It's USC whenever they were playing great football.
Nobody likes winners,
right? Yeah, exactly. I would say that Georgia
they come for you when you're on top.
But
or if you're an FSU fan,
though,
they always come for you somehow.
Maybe it's different. Maybe I'm just not seeing it as much. But I don't see Georgia necessarily getting that as much yet. I'm asking more than I'm stating. What do you say?
I was going to say my outside perspective is I feel like a lot of people kind of have felt like now, Georgia's the new Bama with what they've been doing.
Mm-hmm.
I know they're not there yet because of what Bama's done, but like their dominance has been like basically unprecedented with that defense the past 2 years.
I agree.
And I think I know you're very realistic about it. I think a lot of, the diehard Bama fans of the world don't want to pass that torch still and are fighting it tooth and nail, but this will be a really big year for Bama.
So, okay, and I love that take, but I wasn't necessarily saying it like you're spot on. Well, I guess what I was getting at is I think the reason Georgia doesn't get it like that, because I think everyone would agree that it's Georgia's college football world right now.
Yeah.
And we're all just kind of living in it.
It's Kirby's world.
I just don't think that Georgia's, maybe I'm wrong about this then. I don't think that Georgia's fans have been as outlandish and annoying as what the Alabama fans, what the Florida fans, what the USC fans. Maybe it's just because I know the calm Georgia fans, but they're not out here like, we're the best.
They're still in the appreciative.
Yes, maybe that's what it is.
That's definitely part of it. I mean, you had so much of the fan base that was struggling for 40 years, right? But I think part of it is like the average fan was like rooting for Stetson Bennett to an extent because of his story and his struggle. That I think,
and we all love Mail.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. Like, it's easier to kind of accept a guy like that winning. And granted, it's only been like 2 years, right? If Georgia is on a similar pace for 5, 6, 7 years, that's a whole different thing versus 2 years with a guy like Stetson Bennett leading. It makes it easier to swallow. If they were to win a third one, then all of a sudden it's like, all right, we're tired of these guys. Especially if you do like a 15-0, you're like, all right, nobody wants to see the same team go 30-0 over 2 seasons, win 2 national championships, unless you're me. And then that's perfect.
Dude, if you guys three-peat, though.
That'd be the coolest thing.
When's the last time someone
Nobody's ever
They've
never legitimately three-peated.
Yeah, it was Minnesota in 36, 37, 38, 34,
35, 36. And they only played 8 games.
And they had a couple of them shared, too, as well.
Respect to that team, but no,
and that was pre-AP and all that kind of stuff. So there's nobody legitimately has done it.
Well, I mean, I agree with that. It's just one of those things. Maybe this is the Bama fan coming out in me, but it's like, that's how they did championships back in the day. You know what I mean?
I mean, that's fine.
Bama's repeated, though, right?
Yeah.
Like, when's the last time Bama repeated?
11-12.
Yep.
11-12.
They were the last team to repeat before.
He's like, we just got to make it better than 11-12, man. Dude, if y'all go 15-0 back-to-back, though, like, that's 30
was 12
games.
at Notre Dame?
Yeah. It was, what was that? LSU Notre Dame.
And then it was the kick six is the reason why they didn't get a chance to play for a third in a row.
Oh, man.
Dude, I remember.
Could you imagine if Bama did get 3 in a row, like as incredulous as their fans as we already were? And at that point, because don't get me wrong, I used to be one of those, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, shut up, don't even talk about your team. I'm an Alabama fan. You know what I mean?
When you're on the high, you got to ride the high. You never know when the low's going to come.
Yeah, and I think I also felt not entitled to it. I don't mean it like that, but because when I was growing up watching football with my dad and stuff, we were not good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We sucked.
It makes it so much easier if you've appreciated the struggle getting there. You know, that's a whole different.
Hoosiers COVID year.
Yeah. Hey, there you go, man.
Hey, everybody's got that season. You know,
Big Ten president had to screw us out.
What's the best season that you can ever remember with Indiana?
That season.
Oh,
yeah, easily.
Wow. How many?
Had 2 chances to score at the shoe on Ohio State.
Didn't you only play like 6 games?
No, we were 8-1 after that Wisconsin game, and Big Ten played like everyone in the Big Ten.
Huh. Okay.
But
for some reason, I thought Ohio State.
Ohio State only played like 5 or 6 games or something crazy like that.
Yeah, they did, and that's why they changed the rule, and then they got to play. It's a pain point. I get why they did it for money reasons, but Indiana, we played the amount of games you had to play.
Yeah, man. And they didn't even play Michigan that year.
No, Michigan had COVID issues.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
That was a very contentious point on Twitter.
Oh, my.
So Harbaugh hadn't lost to Ohio State in like 3 years now, so he's riding.
What do y'all think? I talked a little bit about this with Brian Had. Oh, man, I can't believe I just got our minute with Max on to
that's all right.
Football. How'd we do that? All right, let's talk a little other football then and get our weekly Lionel Messi, the American now, Lionel Messi update.
Dude, he's a monster. 10 goals in 7 matches.
He's got 10 goals already?
In 7 matches.
What is it like?
It's just, he's different.
Well, no. I get that. What is a normal 7-game stretch that's great?
4 or 5.
4 or 5 go right. Like,
and that's like very okay, you're on. Like he's in form, they say.
He's played 7 games and he's scored at least. Oh, he's played 10 games.
No, 7 games and 10 goals. Yeah.
Right. And so he's averaging more than a goal a game.
1.33 or whatever the number is. Like,
when they're doing the penalty kicks, do those count as goals?
No.
Okay.
Which is just crazy. I mean, he obviously hasn't missed his kicks. But in the team they beat, that Philadelphia team hadn't gone down 3 ever in the season. They were down 3-0 at half. And it's just hilarious because they had the lowest points ever. They're last place in the league. He came over, and Sergio Busquets, who was Messi's longtime teammate at Barca, and Jordi Alba. And it's hilarious because they're 36, 35, and 36, and they're just dominating.
Do they have an opportunity? I know they won that League Cup or whatever, which is essentially just like the mid-season.
Really make
but they're too far out of the playoffs?
I believe so. I mean, crazier things happen, but it's almost statistically impossible. It's cool, though, because it kind of goes to his character, too. Like, he's not doesn't need the spotlight. He just shows up and does his job.
Right.
When they won, like, the MLS, of course, wanted him to hold it, because that's like the classic you can cut on a commercial, like, oh, it's the MLS League Cup and it's Messi holding it up. And he called for their captain to come pick it up instead, which is cool. It's DeAndre Yedlin, who you probably know from being on the United States team for a while. No, he's right back, yeah.
No.
He's been on the team for a long time. But it's cool, like, stuff like that, because obviously they wouldn't have won that without Messi. And, calling to the captain, who Messi can run circles around is pretty cool in my opinion. But they were throwing him in the air after.
Well, speaking of the U.S. men's national team, how about Christian Pulisic, not with Chelsea anymore, over there with AC Milan, and scored a goal last night. Yeah. He's also accounting for like 45% of jersey sales for AC Milan, which is pretty big, right?
It's really cool. Yeah, he's in a really good spot. Milan's good. They'll make a run in the Champions League. Getting out of Chelsea was huge for him. For some reason, they didn't play him a lot, and he definitely deserved to be playing. Like a lot of even by the end, like the English fans, because they're always harder on Americans, just because. And Ted Lasso's not that far off, and they're calling him wanker and stuff. But like he was integral in that Chelsea Champions League championship. He had a game-leading assist in that semi. That's how they are, you know. He's in a good spot in Milan. I really like that he transferred there because he's going to play a lot, develop. Yunus Musa's over there with him too. It's all good things. And then hopefully Balogun gets sold out of Arsenal to go somewhere where he's going to play. So,
what do you think of your counterparts in Chicago, the Chicago White Sox? You think that they would actually leave Chicago?
You know, I don't think so, but it's the same guy who owns the Bulls, so I feel bad for the Bulls White Sox fans.
Yeah.
Because the only reason Jerry Reinsdorf is still an owner is because Michael Jordan existed. He's been there long enough. He's known for being super cheap. He's still dated with the times. The White Sox have never really bought. He got super lucky that they won in 05. They just, all the right things clicked for them, but that's the last time they've won a playoff series is 05, I believe.
So the last time they won a playoff series was when they won the World Series.
Maybe once in like 07. They haven't won in forever. They made the playoffs and lost like the A's 3 years ago. They're past their competitive window, so everyone's hoping they sell him. I'm actually going to a bachelor party this weekend in Texas with my buddy, but he's diehard. Like, he's had season tickets to the White Sox. Everyone's giving him crap. They're like, happy bachelor party. White Sox are leaving Chicago.
Oh, man. But you think it'll actually happen, though? I think
there's actually like, I'd say like a 20% chance it would happen.
Okay.
Because it's really outside the city. The location's in a super dumb area. Like, you walk 2 blocks, honestly, away from the stadium. You're in pretty treacherous waters. So, like, my friends have had that happen, though, where they miss they call it the L, like the subway there. And you miss that stop, you go one floor down, you're not in a good spot.
Can you just stay on the L and just keep riding until you get back?
You're still going to a pretty bad spot.
But it doesn't go in a circle? Or do you have to get off somewhere?
You got to hop off somewhere. You don't want to be there. It's bad.
New York, the Yankees adding some youth finally. I don't know how you feel about it.
They're such a joke right now.
Right. Do you think that they should have done this earlier, though, coming in with Everson Pierre and Oswald Peraza? Which one of these is the alien-looking dude? Or is that not?
That's a different guy whose nickname's Alien. That's Jason Dominguez.
All right, gotcha.
The Martian.
The Martian, that's right. That's what it is,
He's
I think.
A stud. But the Yankees are such a joke right now. They rolled out their lineup today and posted it, and they forgot to list a first baseman on their lineup, like on their team page. And it's like, just that's the state of the Yankees for you.
Yeah.
They listed like Peraza and DJ LeMahieu both at third base, but I think LeMahieu's probably playing first. But they should have called these guys up a while back. Everyone knows that the Yankees are so weird with their prospects. They never call them up when they're ready. They've had Austin Wells, who's a catcher with some pop. He's pretty comparable to like a Wilson Contreras bat. Without some of the arm speed. He's not a great fielder. He'll probably move over to first, but it's something they needed because they've had no offense. And like, Yankees Twitter is hilarious to me. They post stuff like Anthony Volpe has more homers than these shortstops. And it's like, dude, he's hitting 210. Like, what are you bragging about?
That is what, I saw that. I was like, 210. That's not great. And then also, like, Trey Turner's having, at one point, he's not having a great year. And at one point this year, he was hitting 237. I'm like, I know that. That's not good. I get that.
Right, but
if that's your low point
of your career,
Marcell Ozuna's was .85 this year.
I remember that. I was like, man, he's done.
Yeah.
Now he's got 26 bombs.
26 bombs. The Braves are one player away from having 6 players with 25 or more home runs.
Who is it next?
I would have to look. I would have to look to see who it is because you got Ronnie, you got Ozzie, you've got Matt Olson, Riley.
Ozuna.
That would be 6 then right there. So one of those isn't there. So it would more than likely, if I'm taking a guess, it would have to be Riley. He would have to be at
He's at 29.
20, not Riley is?
Yeah, he's on my fantasy team.
Nice.
Big acquisition.
We'll have to. You'll have to look that up. I don't got time because I've got to go to a break. Though you got one more segment.
I got to go. Unfortunately.
Oh man, get out of here! Get out of here! Get out of the doghouse.
Sean Murphy's at 20.
Sean Murphy's at 20, so we need 5 more from Sean Murphy. All right, Michigan Eddie, you are now on the clock. Michigan Eddie, you're on the clock. We'll be right back. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida.
I got a good job at the dollar store.
ESPN Northwest Florida. We're the radio home of the Mosley Dolphins.
High school football is back. This Thursday night, we're going under the lights. It's the Mosley Dolphins versus the Rutherford Rams, live from Tommy Oliver Stadium. Coverage starts Thursday at 6:30, kickoff at 7. Listen live right here on your home for the Mosley Dolphins. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with your weather forecast on this Tuesday. Mostly sunny the remainder of the day with a gentle breeze around 10 miles per hour out of the west-southwest and temps near 93. We will have clear skies tonight and be quite warm, 83. And sunny throughout the day with a likelihood of thunderstorms in the evening tomorrow and a high 96. This forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for tuning into ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Chuck was terrible at fishing. He spent many frustrating hours attempting to get results he saw from internet videos, aggravating trial and error fishing trips, and misguided advice from well-intended friends. Chuck is happy now with his newfound success after he visited Bay Breeze Bait and Tackle, where we keep fishing fun, simple, and successful. See us soon at Bay Breeze Bait and Tackle, located directly off Highway 98 on the west end of Panama City Beach.
Take your next adventure in an award-winning Kia from Bill Bird Kia. The SUV family has movement that inspires, and we invite you to test drive the new 2023 Kia Soul, Seltos, Sportage, Sorento, or Telluride. You can command the road in a sedan from Bill Bird Kia. Drive away today in a new 2023 Rio, Forte, K5, or Stinger, and discover the all-new Kia at Bill Bird Kia. 2435 East 15th Street, Panama City, or anytime at BillBirdKia.com. Peace of mind you can trust at your local community dealer, Bill Bird Kia.
You're riding shotgun with the Afternoon Underdogs. We're going to need some gas money. The Afternoon Underdogs.
Fill her up, please.
At 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
And we are back. Michigan Eddie, you can call us, but you are well beyond 4.9 seconds. So, Travis, you are still in the lead right now. We've had Jessica, she never called. We got Travis with 4.9 seconds. We've got Michigan State Bruce that didn't call, and now Michigan Eddie. So, yeah. You guys got to be listening in the morning and then coming back at 4:40. Once you text when you hear the keyword, you text that keyword. 8:45 in the morning, Coach James Hill Show. They're going to hit you with a keyword. You text the keyword and your name to 850-215-6290. And then you come back to the Afternoon Underdogs at 4:40, and we're going to shout at your name out. And when we do that, then you are on the clock at that point in time. So Travis is locked and loaded. Not the official winner yet. Got a couple more days here, a couple more opportunities to play, but he might be headed down to Daytona this Saturday. All right, well, let's dive into Carson Beck, quarterback 1. Was that announced last time we had you on?
No, that was Saturday? Sunday, Monday, last couple days.
Obviously, you knew that it was going to be like that, but what have you heard any other? What are some rumblings that you're hearing from the Georgia camp right now that's got you excited?
Oh, everything.
Everything's got you excited?
No, it sounds really good. Of course, everybody sounds good right now. Everybody's undefeated. And coming off 2 national championships, the way Kirby and crew have recruited, I mean, obviously, a blind man could tell that Georgia's going to be a pretty good team this year. And it also helps that our schedule is as favorable as you could hope for, too. But, no, Carson Beck is a Jacksonville kid. He led their school to the first state title ever as a junior. Then all of his offense graduated around him. He struggled his senior year, but he's a guy who's played at a high level at high school. He's been in the system for 4 years in Athens, which is big, especially in the portal era. I mean, he could have left and gone to Florida. He could have left and gone to a bunch of other schools over the last couple of years when he kept getting passed up for Stetson Bennett and guys like that. So, super excited to see what he could do as a pure talent. I mean, he's probably as talented as a quarterback as Georgia has started since Jacob Eason. 6'2", 6'3" type guy, legit arm. So we'll see. I mean, the thing that Stetson Bennett didn't get enough credit for was performing when it mattered the most.
Right.
And that's what you need out of a quarterback. That's what Tom Brady did. That's
teach that.
It's one of those things that you either got it or you don't. And we'll see if he's got it, because if not, then that's going to be bad for Georgia and good for everybody else.
So I just I shot you a photo of the tiers. I don't know who it was that put this out, but tiers of college football Heisman winners of the CFB report. Tiers of college football Heisman winners since 2000. We'll start here with tier 1. You've got 3 guys, right? You've got Joe Burrow, Cam Newton, and Reggie Bush, who technically doesn't have a Heisman, but totally should, though.
That's a tier right there. I mean, I ain't mad at it. I mean, I ain't mad at that at all.
All right. But there's no. All right, so let's go to tier 2 here, and let's see, is there anyone from tier 2 that needs to be up there with tier 1? And we'll just kind of discuss around it. And if you guys would like to join the discussion, 850-215-6290. I'll read your text off as well. You got Lamar Jackson, Tim Tebow, Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield, Johnny Manziel, and Jameis Winston. So I would have Johnny. I mean, not Johnny. Still though, what Johnny Manziel. I know he got a lot of help from his receivers, specifically with Mike Evans. But for him, I don't even know if Texas A&M is as relevant as they are to this point. Even though they were already in the SEC before Johnny Manziel came, first year with Johnny Manziel, all that good stuff. But I don't know if they're still as relevant. You know what I mean? Without what he did. But the 2 that I would bump up to tier 1, I think, would be Tim Tebow. What would be the argument against that? The squad around him?
I mean, I can't say I would necessarily disagree. I personally think Joe Burrow and Cam Newton had the 2 best seasons of all time. And arguably all of college football. I mean, not even just SEC football, Heisman playing football. Like, what those 2 guys did their last year at either school was just, insane. And then Reggie Bush was just phenomenal in the early 2000s. I wouldn't argue necessarily if you put Tebow up there. I mean, I get where you're coming from. I don't know if you were to watch Tim Tebow and watch Cam Newton, you would think, and it's going to come off wrong, but I don't know if you would think he was as good of a player as 2010 Cam Newton.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, and it's not really, and I don't mean it as a disrespect to Tim Tebow, and I know it kind of comes across that way. He was a great player, he helped Florida win 2 titles and all that kind of stuff. I just don't know if he was as dominant a football player as Cam Newton.
And Cam Newton took, as we talk about this all the time, though, that Auburn team that he won the title with.
Was relative hot garbage without him.
Right, exactly. What do they do without him? But you take Joe Burrow off of LSU, though.
That was a loaded team, but
right,
60 touchdowns and
I'm with you on that. I'm not taking anything away from Joe Burrow. I think he had one of the greatest seasons to ever do it. When it comes to Cam Newton doing it without anything, and I will always feel the sting of that Auburn-Alabama Iron Bowl there when Cam brought him all the way back. But yeah, so Joe Burrow. I would still put Tim Tebow in tier 1, though, just because of something that you said earlier when talking about Carson Beck. What you do in those big moments is huge. But then there's the other side of it where his career didn't necessarily finish as strongly as what it started.
On Tim Tebow?
Yes, for Tim Tebow. Well, I mean, the other guys, their careers with Joe Burrow, had you told me in 2018 that this guy, we heard about him from Ohio State and everything, but had you told me he was going to be that good in 2019? Because when the 2018 game, it was right after the hurricane, right? It was like the week after the hurricane or maybe 2 weeks after the hurricane. So we had to, we hooked the TV up to the generator, brought it outside or whatever, put the antenna up, and ended up watching that game after we've been cutting down trees all day. And I was sitting there watching him. I'm like, this guy's trash. Like, not trash, but
grits,
right, exactly. And then he comes 2019 and on fire. But very close in a game against a hobbled Tua to losing that ball game as well. Yeah. Onside kick away, essentially. Speaking, but yeah, Joe Burrow's. You can't take him away from tier 1.
My question is, I'm not 100% sure why Kyler Murray is in tier 2 and Caleb Williams is in tier 3. Honestly, like I don't think there's a huge difference between. I mean, without looking at the stats, Kyler Murray didn't really accomplish anything at Oklahoma. He started 1 year and then won the Heisman. That's kind of what Caleb Williams. I'm not sure there's a huge difference there between those two.
Those guys would probably be on a tier 4 or tier 5. They've got, all right, so we'll go over tier 2. We already went all over tier 2 or gave all the names of tier 2. I could even see Baker Mayfield. Well, no, Baker Mayfield was electric.
At least he made a couple, he started for more than 1 year. I don't know. It's just kind of like the 1 year wonder. And it's not like they accomplished a 1 year wonder like Cam Newton or Joe Burrow. It was a 1 year wonder and it was a good year, but it's like.
But they didn't capitalize and get.
What do they do out of it? Not much.
You ain't got the title. You got the Heisman hardware, but you don't have the college football playoff or the BCS national championship to go along with that. So in tier 3, you've got Bryce Young, Devontae Smith, Sam Bradford, always forget about him, Marcus Mariota, you got Matt Leinart, and Caleb Williams. So for me, maybe a Matt Leinart, even though a loaded USC team could possibly go up and trade him for Kyler Murray. Is Lamar Jackson worthy of tier 2?
Oof, man.
Brady said absolutely.
I mean, if you look at, outside of what maybe Baylor, and you get farther down the list and it shows Eric Crouch from Nebraska, but Louisville is, I'm not going to say they don't belong with those schools, but if you talk about historically the talent those guys bring in, Louisville's typically not on the same tier as a USC, an Auburn, a Florida State, a Texas A&M. So for him to do what he did at Louisville, I think that's pretty. Baylor with Robert Griffin III. I don't know if there's that big of a gap between those two guys.
And the exclamation point with that, what was it, 63 to 20
win over FSU? Beat down over Florida State.
Remember who his coach was?
Remember who his coach was? Was it Bobby Petrino?
Yeah.
There you go then. So we'll see what kind of magic Texas A&M can muster up this season. Tier 3, Bryce Young, Devontae Smith, Sam Bradford, all of these guys, it's just such a far separation. Devontae Smith was almost one of those, I love the guy and everything, but almost one of those charity cases. Like you could he deserved the Heisman, but it was pretty much like Mac Jones or Devontae Smith. And he had a great year, but I definitely wouldn't put him up to tier 2. Marcus Mariota, no, not really. Sam Bradford, at Oklahoma, but still not tier 2 though. Not tier 2. And when I go to tier 4, you've got RG3, Mark Ingram, I forget this guy's name. Oklahoma 2000.
Jason White.
Yep, Jason White. And then you got Chris Winkie and you've got Derrick Henry. Now, I would put Mark Ingram as the highest tier of Alabama Heisman winners. So, if you got Bryce Young there at tier 3, I would, maybe take Bryce Young and knock him down to tier 4 and put Mark Ingram up there just because first Heisman player out of Alabama.
See, I remember Mark Ingram's Heisman year, people kind of being like, this is one of the worst years for Heisman voting we've had in a while. And it's nothing against Mark Ingram. I just feel like I would personally, as a player, granted being a Bama fan, I would put him below both Bryce Young and Devontae Smith personally, as a player.
Really?
As a non-Bama fan, I get being the first and everything, but I just feel like when he won it, everybody was like, he won it, but
But you had, I think, what was it?
Was it Toby Gerhardt that year?
Might have been.
Out of Stanford.
I was almost thinking Christian McCaffrey, but
I think that was more closer to Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
I'd have to go. I'll pull it up real quick. The top 5 in the Heisman that year.
For me, though, it's not about the season that he had necessarily. It's just the fact that all of the, storied stuff coming out of Alabama, and he's the first Heisman winner. I thought that is one of the reasons I would put him there. But as far, Bryce Young was.
Yes, Toby Gerhard, Colt McCoy, and Dominican Sue were the top 4.
I was at Old Goodwill the other day. Got a Colt McCoy autographed football for $5.
Heck yeah. Hey, he's still playing.
I mean, he's going to be the starting quarterback for the Cardinals, and I'm thinking, well, you know what? Maybe someone on eBay will, after like week 6 or 7, be like, hey, I'll give you $30 for it or so. So that's a $25 come up, son. Let's see here. Yeah, and then tier 5. I can't see anything changing there. I don't have any other problems with it. I don't have a huge problem with Mark Ingram being at tier 4, Derrick Henry at tier 4. I would be interested in seeing the numbers again with Derrick Henry, because I remember when they were doing that, or the night that they were voting on that, I was working a parking lot like down there by the old shrimp boat or whatever, just kind of, letting people. I was manning the parking lot. I don't know what else you could say. Yeah. So I had to. I was keeping an eye on it on my phone and wasn't able to watch all of the voting and stuff. And I just don't remember right now.
Yeah, he beat out Chris McCaffrey, Deshaun Watson, and Baker Mayfield was his top 4.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know, to beat those guys.
Yeah, I feel like that's a little bit better guy. I mean, and I mean this with all due respect, but when you have a defensive lineman coming in 3rd or 4th in the Heisman, it just seems like it was. I remember that just kind of being a weird year for the Heisman. It felt like.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, it's been a while now, but I just.
All right, man. Well, enough tier talk on this beautiful Tuesday afternoon. Anything that you're looking forward to with week 0 here upon us? I mean, the Navy-Notre Dame game, I think Notre Dame's a 20.5-point favorite at this point in time. So nothing special, but is there a game that is an outlier or something that you're ready to watch, or just because it's college football, you'll watch a little bit?
I'm interested to see how Vandy looks against Hawaii. I mean, granted it's Vandy and granted it's Hawaii, but I think if Vandy's going to build on what they did last year, beating Florida at the end of the season, and 5-7, which for Vandy's not the worst season in the world. Can they build on that? Do they look like they belong? Look how an SEC, for lack of a better word, team should look against Hawaii. That and USC's defense. How do they do against San Jose State? Last time they were on the field, that USC defense was embarrassed. And I mean that with all due respect to Tulane. They're a great school. Willie Fritz is a great coach. Tajee Spears is having himself a pretty good preseason.
Yeah, he is.
But I mean,
without an ACL, who would have thunk?
The way USC gave up points to blow that game away, can they come back from that? How's that defense look improved? Because Caleb Williams and Lincoln Riley, they're going to put up a ton of points. They're going to put up a ton of numbers. So they need their defense to just be serviceable. So how do they look early against a team that they should handle fairly well? That's going to be the two big things to kind of see going forward.
Yeah, Hawaii and Vanderbilt, I think could be fun. I think that one could be fun. I think FIU and Louisiana Tech, that's another one that it's a little later in the evening. That should be a pretty good
game, too. Right. That should be more fairly even.
And that's what I really want to watch is a good game, because even with preseason, when they're ending in good games, score-wise, it never feels like it was that competitive. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, the guys are more or less fighting for their jobs and not fighting for their team to win.
Yeah.
And with the college football season upon us, you're going to have 85, 100 guys on the sideline all wanting the same exact result. So, and it's also going to be interesting to see the rule change now with the clock not stopping after first downs, but the good thing is it still will stop
the last 4 minutes?
2 minutes of the half.
The 2 minutes?
Yeah, so 4 minutes total, but the 2 minutes of the second half, 4 minutes of the second half.
Yeah, we can't cut down on commercials, but we'll cut down on the actual football. That's awesome.
All right, we're going to ride to a break. When we get back, we're going to get into some questions surrounding the ACC. Riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida.
ESPN Northwest Florida. We're the radio home of the Mosley Dolphins.
High school football is back. This Thursday night, we're going under the lights. It's the Mosley Dolphins versus the Rutherford Rams, live from Tommy Oliver Stadium. Coverage starts Thursday at 6:30, kickoff at 7. Listen live right here on your home for the Mosley Dolphins. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with your weather forecast on this Tuesday. Mostly sunny the remainder of the day with a gentle breeze around 10 miles per hour out of the west-southwest and temps near 93. We will have clear skies tonight and be quite warm at 83. And sunny throughout the day with a likelihood of thunderstorms in the evening tomorrow and a high 96. This forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for tuning into ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Living on the Gulf Coast, we have beautiful beaches, clear water, and amazing marine life. Want to bring a piece of the ocean into your home or office with an amazing aquarium? Gulf Coast Aquarium, the area's only certified platinum CCHEM dealer. Their staff are all certified CCHEM specialists. Gulf Coast Aquarium can install, design, maintain, and finance your own piece of the Gulf. Gulf Coast Aquarium, powered by CCHEM, with over 40 years as a U.S.-based manufacturer of quality aquarium products. Online at GulfCoastAquarium.com. Gulf Coast Aquarium, where it's more than just a tank.
We're the radio home of the Mosley Dolphins. WGSX Lynn Haven, WVLQ Port St. John. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Los Rancheros has been doing it right for 20 years. Los Rancheros brings a top-shelf dining experience to you with the opening of their beautiful new building. Watch all college and pro games on Los Rancheros' 14 large-screen TVs with great drink specials daily from 2 to 5 and during all the games. Los Rancheros, the place for live sports and great food on 23rd Street between Jenks and Harrison.
The mission?
Your mission, should you decide to accept it.
Save the panhandle from boring cookie-cutter radio. Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs.
The state will self-destruct in 5 seconds.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
It is hour number 2 of the Afternoon Underdogs here on ESPN Northwest Florida, 104.3 in Panama City, 101.9 in Port St. Joe. I'm David Hayes, along with Tyler Bishop at ESPN Northwest Florida. We're taking the inside drive, local, college, and the pros, PGA, NHL, NFL, MLB, NCAA, and even more. The most exciting new show in Northwest Florida, broadcast live from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine and Outdoor Studios. The Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey, weekdays from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. All right, so we've been doing our Power 5 conference previews, records, and predictions to this point. I wanted to do it a little bit differently today, where we kind of start off with some questions, and then in the next segment, we'll get into it. I don't know. Then I started thinking about that, and I was like, well, we haven't successfully completed any record predictions in 20 minutes. It's always taken us at least like a segment and a half. So we'll ask a few of these questions, and then we'll get into our record predictions. I'm kind of excited about it. It looks like it's, looking at all of the conference predictions we've done to this point, the top heaviest conference has been for me by my predictions, and I don't put any I wouldn't put any money on some of the predictions.
No, we're telling you how the games are going to go. You don't even have to watch football. We're telling you exactly how they're going to go. So.
Take the year off, boys and girls. No, for me, but look, Pac-12, 11-1. I've got Washington going 11-1, USC going 11-1, and Oregon going 11-1.
Yeah.
On the same year that they're all going to be headed to the Big Ten. Could you imagine that? Like, all three of those teams go 11-1. Pac-12's having like one of the greatest years in their conference, and next year they're only going to have 4 teams.
Yeah, no, I've seen some guys out there doing the conference preseason rankings. SEC number 1, Pac-12 number 2.
No way.
I've seen. Yeah, there's a couple guys on Twitter that I follow that are pretty well not biased, but pretty well respected guys, and guys whose opinions I respect. And came out, said SEC was number 1, Pac-12 was number 2, Big Ten was number 3.
Wow.
Especially throwing a guy like a team like Oregon State, that's a potential 9-10 win team. I mean, you could end up with 4 teams all 9-10 wins, plus. So
what do you think what makes a conference stronger in Tyler Bishop's opinion? Is it what the top looks like, what the bottom looks like, or obviously the right answer is all of it, but how do you look at it?
That's a good question. I think you got to have at least 1 or 2 big hitters at the top, or else it's kind of, what's the point, right?
Right.
Like the Big 12 next year, that'll be a very competitive conference, but nobody will say it's the best conference because they won't have a big hitter.
Yeah, because I was all on the Big 12 last year, and I was thinking, wait till bowl season, they're going to prove you wrong, and then went like 1-7.
I think you got to have a couple big hitters, but I think it's mostly the depth. I think are your 7-5 teams, like, how much better are they than another team 7? Because every team's going to have some trash teams. You have a team like Vanderbilt versus like Indiana or Purdue or somebody like that. Most years, not a big deal. If they play Arizona State, it's going to be a pretty decent game, or whatever. Whoever you consider, like Colorado, I think every conference going to have some down teams depending on the year. But you got to have some big, heavy hitters, and I think it's that depth, that meat of it. Are those teams better than the meat of other teams?
Yeah.
And I think, I think we've seen that with the SEC. Their bowl record's typically pretty good. They've had the heavy hitters winning, 13 of the last 15 national titles, maybe even more than that at that point.
It's modest, but it's decent.
We do what we do. And, specifically the last two have been extra special. No, but
specialist.
You look at the Big Ten, like what has Michigan and Penn State really done since Y2K? Won a couple Rose Bowls. Michigan's made the playoff and lost. Ohio State's won a couple national. But the Big Ten, as good of a conference people talk about it, what have they done?
What was the final score of Georgia, Michigan?
It was 27-13 or 27-6.
No, it's 34. Because James
maybe
Cook
it was 34-13.
At least 34 is what I'm saying. Because James Cook scored in the fourth quarter.
It could have been whatever Georgia really wanted to that night. It was never particularly competitive, but the score may not have looked as bad as the game felt.
Man, I don't feel bad for Michigan at all. It's funny, you know what I mean? They're on this hot streak beating Ohio State, but their last 2 years in the college football playoff, their first two appearances, they get smoked by Georgia, then they get beat by TCU, and then Georgia turns around and smokes TCU.
It was 34-11.
34-11.
34-11. But that's kind of my point. What has the Big Ten done? What are their bigger teams? Penn State's, they won a few Rose Bowls.
So Ohio State, essentially, they had the one against Clemson.
Michigan State made the playoff one year.
They did. It was the score of that game against Alabama, 34-0.
Yeah, it was not pretty.
No.
But it's just as good of a conference as they can be at times. Or people want to play them up their top teams don't perform
when it matters the most
a lot of times.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
It is going to be interesting this year because, man, especially when I go back and I'm looking through because we're only the SEC away from doing all 5 Power 5 conferences, and it's a very, very far and away chance that anyone from the group of 5 gets into the college football playoff. So you can essentially look at all of your Power 5 predictions and, okay, so now I've got Oregon and Washington and USC up there 11-1. We're going to be doing our ACC. I've got a couple of teams there that are 11-1. I've got Big 12, 2 teams 11-1. Got the Big 10 with one on the opposite side of Ohio State and Michigan, who's 10-2, and then I've got Ohio State and Michigan both at 11-1, 10-2. So obviously that just goes to show you there's no way it's going to shake out like that. And if it does, obviously you still get conference championship week to kind of settle the dust a little bit more, or make it a dust bowl. But if it were to come down like that, I would not want to be on the college playoff committee, and I'm glad to be in this seat because those conversations down the stretch from about week 8 on are going to be intense.
Oh, yeah, and it always, what happens? We end up with everybody's got an undefeated conference champion. Yeah. Who's going to be, it never happens. So it's just, but kind of like your point, it sounds good sitting here in, beginning or mid-August, week 0. God, it feels great to be week 0.
Yes, it does.
It's that's why we just let the games play out. And almost every year is kind of taking care of itself. You can kind of debate the 4th seed sometimes and whatever, but at the end of the day, for the most part, it's hard to truly argue with who's gone in. And I think for the most part, they've done a solid. We may not always agree with the process, but I think for the most part, it's worked out.
I think I would say that the champion always has been crowned the correct way.
Yeah.
Even last year, it is what it is. I feel like you can go either way with Ohio State or Alabama or whatever. Yeah. No one should have been jumping TCU. So, they got it right. And I think Ohio State, especially with the way that you see the way that they played Georgia, I don't think Alabama would have been that close with Georgia last year.
And TCU's standing in the playoff is interesting to me with people talking about Georgia's schedule this year. TCU didn't exactly play a ball buster schedule last year. So if Georgia goes 12-0 like TCU did, how much is the SEC championship going to matter? If they were to lose to Alabama or LSU, people are like, oh, Georgia can't make it without a good win. It's but TCU just did it.
All right, but
it's just going to be. It's an interesting thing to think about.
But I'm not one of the people who, and I know that you're not saying this at me. I'm just saying that I am not one of those people who's like, oh my gosh, Georgia's 4 non-conference games are terrible.
Yeah.
They are. They are. But at the end of the day, you still got 8 other games that you got to go in and win. So if you show up with a 12-0 record, then I'm good with it. Cincinnati got in with a 12-0 record.
Yep.
And, you know, look.
No, I agree. I mean,
so it is one of those things, and that's why I do wish that there was another level of championship that other teams would have a chance. Like when you start your season and there's no real opportunity unless you take the positive mindset and look at the bowl game, you know, and that's your goal, then all right, good. But if you're starting a season, like if the NFL was like, you know, only 4 teams are getting in, by week 8, I think you're going to have so many guys who's like, yeah, I'm out for this year. I'm going to go take my talents to Cancun or something. You know what I mean? All right, will, the question, I had it written down as can Florida State, but will Florida State take the next step to national prominence here in 2023?
I will say this is the year to do it. I think next year they're going to lose a good bit off this team. So I'm interested. I'm still bullish on Mike Norvell. I've not been shy about that with anybody I've talked Florida State football about. He's got a great chance to prove me wrong or prove me right this year. The schedule sets up fairly well. I mean, September sucks for them. I mean, playing 2 top 10 teams is no easy way to start a season, but doing it with a experienced quarterback, a lot of guys back off last year's team, very minimal like staff turnover. There's no better way to start the season if you're going to go into the season if you're going to have this kind of schedule. But if they can get past Clemson, their schedule sets up very well for them, and we'll see. I mean, like I said, I'm going to say no until I see it from the combo of Norvell and Travis, but they could easily prove me wrong.
Is it approaching that Texas territory where it's every year all these expectations, all these, you know, we're back. I think Florida State says we back, but for Texas, it's we're back or whatever, you know, and they haven't gotten it done.
I don't know if Florida State's been that bad about it, because Texas has been back since 2009 when they lost Colt McCoy. You know? I mean, was it Sam Ehlinger said after they beat Georgia in the Sugar Bowl in 2018, they're back and we're still waiting for them to get back. I mean, I think it's a much.
That was a heck of a game.
That was a great. It was a great game. It was a much long. It's been a much longer drought for Texas, because I mean, Florida State won a national championship and made the playoff in 13 and 14 respectively. So it's not like they've been down and out for. I mean, I guess it's going on 9 years now.
Yeah.
But Texas hasn't been super relevant since 2009, so they do have a few year gap on them. And some of those years in the Willie Taggart era, or the second year of the Willie Taggart era, which ended up being a half season, and I think even the first year or two of Norvell with COVID and him trying to come through Willie Taggart's era and try to fix that culture and everything else, I don't think there was super high expectations. I think last year they started to get some expectations, ended up going 9-3 with a good bowl win. 10-win season is nothing to stick your nose up at. So I think this is the first time they've really gone into a season with high expectations. So I don't know if they've kind of reached that we're back yet. I think they're, if they don't produce this year and they keep doing it, then it's gonna be like, guys, you gotta make me want to see it before you start saying
it's almost that make or break year, and I don't think that Norvell's job is on the line.
Oh no, by any chance.
Yeah, exactly. But what they've brought back, some of the guys that they got to come back, especially on the defensive side of the ball, like I would look for Jared Verse, who had a great year last year, to be like number 11 Jermaine Johnson was 2 years ago.
That was his issue last year. He was a beast when he was on the field, but I felt like I've watched 6 games of Florida State last year, and I felt every game he was leaving for significant time and coming back and leaving again. Like he just couldn't stay healthy.
So you got to stay on the field. They've got, I would say, I don't want to say the most talented, but they've got one of the biggest wide receiving cores. Jordan Travis coming back for another year. I mean, all signs are kind of setting up to where it could be great, which would make the downfall that much worse. Like if you go like 7-5 in the regular season,
Norvell would maybe legitimately be on the hot seat at that point. Especially looking at their schedule, there's not 5 losses on that schedule that he could survive. I'm not gonna say he couldn't survive it, but I mean, like,
I don't think there's 5 losses on that schedule.
Yeah, no, there's not. The 4th and 5th loss would be like, man, y'all lost to them outside of somebody coming out of nowhere like TCU last year. But looking at that schedule, it's like, it'd be. I mean,
it's 3 to 4 max, right? And that's
agree.
So I would say LSU, Clemson, maybe Duke. Maybe Duke, but they got him at the house so highly. And the only reason I say that is because of the year that Duke had last year. If they build on that with Elko, then,
My sleeper pick, and I think we kind of talked about between one of the breaks, is Pittsburgh at Pittsburgh. Early November, it gets cold up in Pennsylvania. They got Miami coming to town the next week, so maybe you get a little bit of that look-ahead stuff. If they're riding a good win streak going into that game, could they be looking ahead to Miami? Narduzzi's a very solid coach, very fundamental coach. So that's a game that could sneak up on some people that maybe they're not thinking about right now.
Well, let's dive into it then, man. We'll start with Boston College. We won't go through all of the games except for some of the bigger schools here. But Boston College, what do you have their record at? And then we'll go over some of the wins and losses.
May end up being generous, but I have them at 5-7.
5-7?
I feel like there's a lot of meat to the ACC where Boston College beating, Wake Forest or Syracuse or even Louisville may not be it's going to be kind of like a coin flip like some of the Big Ten was. So a lot of these could go either way.
I'm trying to figure out if I did mine right here. Yeah, I did. I've got them going 7-5.
Okay. I mean, hey, maybe I was pessimistic on it.
Well, it's. I mean, I think majority of the teams here in the ACC are a 7-5, 6-6, 5-7. You know what I mean? I've got a lot of them on here. So NIU win, Holy Cross win. Their losses are Florida State, LSU, Syracuse. Louisville? I've actually got.
They don't play LSU. That's why I was curious to.
That's what I. It was Louisville. I don't know what the world I said that for. Florida State, Louisville, Syracuse, and Pitt and Miami. Those are their losses. So they're getting wins against NIU, Holy Cross, Virginia, Army, Georgia Tech, and Virginia Tech.
Okay.
Because I don't know much about Virginia and Virginia Tech, as far as what they're bringing to the table this year.
They were kind of some gambles with me on my predictions, if I'm being honest. I do know Virginia did not have hasn't been particularly super strong. I know they had a pretty good quarterback the last couple weeks, Brandon Armstrong, but they haven't done a whole lot with it. So and I know Fuente is not exactly on the most solid of seats up there in Blacksburg either. He has just not performed to expect. Well, no, they just replaced him with the guy from Penn State. That's how. Yeah, never mind.
Because really, since Beamer, no one's No one.
Even before Beamer, nobody was a huge. I mean, it's not like Virginia Tech is a historically strong school. I mean, Beamer really brought them to prominence, but I mean, they're not a historically strong football program.
We'll save Clemson and Florida State for last, right? Because I think that we're going to have some similarities there. What do you got Duke going here?
I've got Duke a gentleman's 8-4.
All right. I think I did Duke a little bit of a disservice. I've got them going 500, 6-6.
Okay. I mean, there's a couple toss-up games they could lose.
Open the season up on Labor Day against Clemson. I've got Clemson winning that one. Then they get Lafayette and Northwestern, both of those at the house. Then they're on the road at UConn, so 3 wins in a row.
But
yeah, it is a little weird that they're going
great basketball
to UConn.
Matchup, but whatever.
That would be a phenomenal game. So I've got them 3-1 hosting Notre Dame, actually. Hosting Notre Dame, and I've got Notre Dame winning that. Yep. Then they go on a nice little 3-game losing streak. Got North Carolina State, Florida State, Louisville, losing all 3 of those.
I've got them beating Louisville.
You got them beating Louisville? Man, Louisville was a hard one, too.
Yeah.
Like, what's your expectations for Coach Brom in his first year?
I mean, I've got him at 6-6.
Who you got beating Louisville?
He's got Duke beating Louisville.
That's funny right there.
I mean, there's a reason why they got rid of their coach. So
where is it?
It's actually in Louisville.
There you go.
Where's
the Notre Dame game? In Louisville.
Oh, y'all got y'all do got that. I got Notre Dame
losing Notre Dame too, so it's okay.
Ain't gonna happen.
I got what's your record prediction for Louisville?
10-2.
8-5 with a bowl game. Mm-hmm. Okay, gotcha. Regular season I got them at 7-5, so we're extremely close then, because regular season would you would have
8-5 his first year. I think it'll be a win.
Yeah. I think if he goes 6-6 in his first year, that's well. I mean, that's a game off though. 7-5, 6-6. It's just a game off. But I think 6-6.
What if he goes 10-2?
Oh, well, come on now. Get the man a raise. Coach
of the year, I think.
Yeah, I mean, and it could happen, though, because but then there's the other side, and I don't want to look to this side, but the Scott Frost to Nebraska type stuff, where like they get home and everyone's all excited for it, and then it just doesn't pan out. I think it's different here with Coach Brom. We've had him on the show a few times, a great friend of the radio station as well. So I'm excited for what Coach Brom in Louisville is going to be able to do this year. Georgia Tech, what's their record sitting at?
I got them at 6-6.
6-6. I got them at 2-10.
What's their first win you got them at?
Louisville.
You got them beating Louisville for real? Yeah. I don't. I don't. Their wins are against South Carolina State, and I'm searching for the other one, Bowling Green.
They practically have a brand new coach.
Yeah.
The coach they had took over last year. He motivated them and got them to win a few games there at the end, but I don't know, man. I just don't see.
Louisville's got a brand new coach too, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I was just and that's the logic we're using here.
Brand new coach.
A seasoned brand new coach. I like that.
I'm not a Georgia Tech fan by any means, and I hope Georgia beats them by about 65 this year. But I got them
beating Georgia. I forgot about it. No,
that sounds good.
He's been just Georgia home in that whole thing. You know what I'm saying?
I've got
in Georgia.
Yeah,
I think if you noticed the difference in the team from when Key took over mid-year last year, they beat North Carolina last year with Drake May after Key took over.
Yeah,
they played Georgia extremely well for a half. I think.
So you think they build on that?
I think they build on. I think he's just going to get back to playing more solid fundamental football. And like I said, there's a lot of teams in the ACC. I feel like that we kind of just talked about going into this, that 5-6, 6-6, or 5-7, 6-6. Like a couple coin flips here and there, and all of a sudden, they win one or two toss-ups. They go from 3-5 or 3-9 to 5-7. So yeah. We'll see. I think they're going to be a much more sound football team than we've seen in a few years.
We absolutely will see, and it is time for us to check out, take a quick break, pay some bills, and we will return with our ACC prediction breakdown. It is the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. We shall return shortly.
ESPN Northwest Florida. We're taking the inside drive.
Nashville should be the capital of Tennessee, not Memphis.
You heard it here first.
Memphis, man, I got some stories about Memphis. I used to be, we used to play the Redbirds right there, and close enough where you had to walk. After the games, I'm like,
he said,
oh man.
Join Ryan Mulvey.
Thank you very little.
Middays 11 to 1 on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good evening. This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida. For tonight, clear and a low of 83 with a 3 to 7 miles per hour wind out of the west. Sunshine tomorrow morning, a light breeze and very hot near 95. A chance of thunderstorms and sunny and 96 in the afternoon and evening. 92 and a possibility of thunderstorms in the early morning and then sunshine Thursday. This is your Tuesday's weather sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Are you tired of hearing 2 weeks when you call to get your boat worked on? Hey folks, it's Chris Kramer with Kramer Marine and Outdoor, and we'll get you in and back out on the water as quick as possible. We're a full-line Yamaha outboard dealer and Suzuki outboard dealer, and we have master-trained certified mechanics on site. So if it's just an annual service, electronics install, trolling motor install, or all the way up to a full repower, we can take care of you. So stop by and see us in the corner of Frankfurt and 23rd next to Bill Kramer GM, or call us at 850-851-0453.
With over 65 years of combined experience, Instant Replay Sports Cards is happy to help you take your collection to the next level. They carry all the new hobby boxes, signed memorabilia, and supplies, new and vintage cards, and Pokemon. They sell and trade cards and are always looking to buy. They're an authorized source for Topps, Panini, Upper Deck, and Leaf cards. Instant Replay Sports Cards is open 7 days a week at 752 West 23rd Street, down from Academy Sports, and can always be reached at instantReplaySportsCards.com.
Hometown Sports Talk from hometown hosts.
People are loving it.
We're live and local. Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs.
Are you kidding me?
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
And we have returned. It's the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. You can call or text us at 850-215-6290. Make sure you're tuned into the Coach James Hale Show tomorrow morning, especially at 8:45. But spend your mornings with the Coach James Hale Show from 7 to 9 a.m. And then at 8:45, they are going to give you a keyword. If you're listening and you hear that keyword, you text it to 850-215-6290 along with your name. Then you come back and listen to the Afternoon Underdogs at 4:40. We're going to announce who we picked, and we do that with a random wheel generator. And once we do that, and we always do that at the end of the 420 segment, we wait till 440 comes, and right there at 440, we announce your name, and then you've got to race to your phones and call us back. And how long it takes you to call us back will be your qualifying time. Our leader to this point is Travis Peterson, who is at 4.9 seconds. So congratulations to him. But the fastest qualifying time wins a pair of tickets to Daytona from ESPN Northwest Florida, which is the last season, or the last race of the regular season. Should be a great time. I know I was there at Daytona, the race to open the season. It was phenomenal. I know that this one will be just as good. Chef Ross chimes in. He says, after those Louisville predictions, who's going to be hosting the show? Y'all know Boss Man thinks they're going to win the Natty. So yeah,
he's gonna dog my pay a whole week or two, man.
Chef Ross just got cut off.
Oh, Chef Ross just got cut off. Oh man,
block him on Facebook.
Everything.
YouTube, everything. Just shut him down.
I'm deleting the comments right now, Chef Ross. All right, let's move on here. I want to go through a couple of other schools. We're gonna go through game by game for Clemson, Florida State, and Miami. North Carolina State, what record do you have for North Carolina State? And is there any games on there that you're like, oh, here's a surprise for you?
7-5 is where I'm sitting at with them.
Any surprises?
I don't think there's a huge surprise. I mean, I got them beating Duke, which I've got Duke kind of being an up and down team on some of these games. That's their biggest win. I mean, maybe Virginia, name-wise, Virginia Tech maybe up there name-wise, but no, I mean, their schedule looks kind of scratched to me. They're going to lose to some teams better than them, and there should be some teams worse than them.
I've got them going 8-4, which is a great record considering that I have them losing at Wake Forest November 11th.
Yeah,
and I don't have a lot of high hopes necessarily for Wake Forest this year. I know you don't, but I don't have the high expectations because losing Sam Hartman, I think, is going to be that pivotal factor.
If they can replace him 80%, then a lot of my predictions are going to be awful.
And it just jumps up to 6-6 or so?
Yeah, so I just don't know enough about Wake Forest's depth chart to sit here and say that I expect. And it's not like Wake Forest, again, is another one of those historical teams. They've been fairly good recently, but I'll have to see it to believe it.
What do you got the Baby Blue Tar Heels of North Carolina?
I've got them at 9-3.
All right.
And it's an interesting because I've got a three-way tie for second place in the ACC now, so I'm not 100% sure how the tiebreaker works. So we'll find out.
That is going to be a question without divisions, right?
Yep.
I've got them going 10-2.
Okay.
And that's with losing the first game of the season to South Carolina.
I've got them dropping that one.
They lose the first game of the season, then they go on a great run and end up and Louisville's not on their schedule, so they're fine there. And then they lose November 18th on the road at Clemson.
I've got them losing to Clemson. I've actually got a surprise loss to Duke the week before Clemson.
Okay,
I think they come in.
You got Duke making some surprises this year.
Well, so at that point they'd be 7-1 going into the Duke game, a big game against Clemson the next week. Maybe they get caught looking ahead. Elko pulls a little bit of magic and they win an ugly one.
All right.
So, I mean, they did lose to Georgia Tech last year. So, I mean, you never say never with some of these games. So
that is definitely true.
And they lost to Willie Taggart's Florida State. So North Carolina, you never know what to expect from them.
That we'll see. Ken Drake may have back-to-back seasons here. Pitt, what do you got their record sitting at?
9-3 as well.
9-3. Big fan of Narduzzi, huh?
I think the schedule sets up fairly nice for him. I mean, there's a lot of teams on there, like looking at not super, Wofford, Cincinnati, West Virginia, Virginia Tech, Louisville, Wake Forest, not a bunch of intimidating teams on a lot of that
Pitt,
stretch.
West Virginia play like week 0 or week 1 or very early on last year, and it was like
a wild game. Yeah, I remember that game specifically because JT Daniels started for West Virginia that year. That was a wild game. That was awesome. It's a great rivalry that they used to play all the time, and then conference expansion ruined it. But
I got Pitt going 6-6.
Okay.
I've got them losing to Cincinnati. And that Cincinnati, they're going to have that hype going to the Big 12. Now they're a Power 5 school too, and I think that they're going to match up well with Pitt in that particular game. I've got them losing to North Carolina. Then they've got a tough stretch again, Wake Forest, which I think now looking back at it, I could give that to Pitt and have them going 7-5. But of course, then Notre Dame, Florida State. I've got them beating Syracuse and Boston College, and then losing to Duke at the end of the season.
I got them losing to Duke also.
Yes, sir. Syracuse, they had a great year last year, but which half of the season Syracuse are we going to get? Last year, they started out 6-0 last year and then finished 7-5, going 1-4 down the stretch. I've got their record at 5-7. Really nothing surprising here. I got them losing to Purdue, which that could be a toss-up. We'll see how that works out for them. I've got them losing to Clemson, North Carolina, Florida State, and Virginia Tech. That's 5 weeks in a row because they have a bye week there as well. And then losing to Pitt and again Wake Forest.
I've got them at 4-8. I've got them beating Colgate, Western Michigan, Army, and Georgia Tech.
All right. 4-8 for Syracuse.
Yep.
All right. Then we'll go to Virginia. I got Virginia at 2-10.
3-9.
Their wins are against William and Mary and Georgia Tech.
Did you forget James Madison?
No, I got James Madison beating them.
Okay, well then all right, yeah. All right.
Yeah, I got James Madison beating them. James Madison, they had a great year last year, and they're also a team that still is not going to be playoff or let's say postseason eligible, bowl eligible. They can't win their conference or anything.
Super Bowl, so to speak.
Well, yeah, one of those. I mean, yeah, I don't have the full schedule in front of me, but James Madison I think is going to take down Virginia in the second week of the season, and Virginia opens up the season with Tennessee, so I think Tennessee's going to kind of beat them down, and then James Madison will kick them while they're down.
Kind of sweep up the crumbs there.
Yeah, exactly. That was my thought. Had that been like the fourth game of the season or so, I would probably ride with Virginia.
Virginia Tech, though, getting Tennessee and Maryland, 2 of the first 3 weeks, that's not a bad little schedule for a team like Virginia. That's really impressive. I mean, I love seeing teams go out there and schedule this kind of games.
What do you got Vautech going?
7-5.
All right, we're very close on that one. I got them at 6-6, losing to Purdue, losing to Pitt, losing to Florida State, Louisville, Boston College, North Carolina State. I don't have anything that is surprising in the win column, which is why I didn't bring that up.
Yeah, no, their wins are kind of just chalk. Teams that
they should be beaten.
Yeah, more than likely.
Wake Forest, I got them as well at 6-6. What do you have them at?
I've got them at 3-9.
Announce those wins for me, brother.
Elon.
Yeah.
Old Dominion.
Yep.
And Syracuse.
All right.
Just a random ACC victory along the way.
I like it, man. Yeah, I've got Vanderbilt beating them. I think that could be an interesting one. I love when, as Miles put it, the uniform matchups. I think Vanderbilt and Wake Forest is going to be a heck of a uniform or a uni game. I got them beating Georgia Tech. I've got them beating Pitt. I've got them beating North Carolina State. And then again, same as you, I've got them wrapping up their season with a win on the road at Syracuse.
Yeah, if they can get a quarterback in there that can replace to an extent what Hartman was able to do, then I'll feel kind of foolish about some of my predictions, but I want to see it.
All right, we'll go to Miami. What do you have their record at? I've got them at 7-5.
8-4.
8-4. All right, that's a great season, a great bounce back for Mario Cristobal and the Canes. So starting off, Miami, Ohio, win. Texas A&M in week 2. Now Miami beat Texas A&M down in Coral Gables last year, right?
Yep.
Or was it?
No, I think it was in Aggie Land.
Yeah, it was. It was at Kyle Field.
This is in Coral Gables.
All right. So I've got them losing to the Aggies.
I got them losing to the Aggies as well.
All right. Let's see. BCU.
Bethune-Cookman.
Oh, yeah, Bethune-Cookman. Yeah, that's who it is. Let's see here. I've got Miami winning.
Yeah, I mean, they should.
Temple.
Dub.
Win. Then they get the bye week. Georgia Tech, I've got them winning.
Dub.
Then they've got North Carolina. I've got North Carolina winning there.
Same.
Because it's on the road. It's in North Carolina. Then they get Clemson at the house, but I still have Clemson winning there.
Same.
Virginia, they get them at the house. I've got them winning that game.
Yep.
Then they're on the road. They go to North Carolina State where they lose. I have them losing.
I've got them beating NC State.
All right.
So that's probably where
That's our difference right there, because the rest of the way you've got at Florida State. I've got them losing there.
Yep.
Then they host Louisville. Got them losing there. They got them losing there. And then at Boston College, and they wrap up their season with a win.
Yep.
All right. So there you go, 7-5 for the Hurricanes of Miami. And we saved the best for last here. At least the top two teams of the ACC going into this year is going to be Clemson and Florida State. We'll go with Clemson first. They start their season out September 4th. That is going to be Labor Day. They've got Duke. I've got them winning that game.
Yep.
Charleston Southern got them winning.
Yep.
FAU got them winning.
Yep.
This is the big one. Florida State in Clemson. Who's it going to be? Do you got Clemson or Florida State winning?
I got Florida State. I got Florida State losing that one. I got Clemson winning.
Oh, okay. I've got Florida State winning this, and I really, my honest opinion is I don't want to see it go like that. I want to see Clemson win this game and Florida State open up the season with a win against LSU, then lose to Clemson, and then it kind of, because of all of that hype, they might be one of those teams, just like Alabama almost every time, needs like that reset. Like you could be a really good team, but you need that shot in the arm that oh, here's your kryptonite, do better type situation. So I've got, but the way that I did this one is I've got Clemson losing to Florida State getting that win. Then they're on the road at Syracuse, and then then they host Wake Forest 2 wins in a row.
Win-win, yep.
Bye week, then they get Miami on the road.
Still a dub.
W as well. Then they're on the road at North Carolina State. Winning there.
Dub.
Notre Dame, they host. I've got them winning. I've got them winning out. They got Notre Dame, Georgia Tech, North Carolina. 3 games, all at the house. I've got them winning all 3 of those.
I've got them losing to Notre Dame.
Ooh. I've
got actually Notre Dame. I kind of noticed just looking over. I think I've got them running the table in the ACC.
What, they're 5 games?
They're 5 game partnership thing.
And then final game of the season at South Carolina. Who do you got? You got Clemson winning?
Yeah, I've got them at 11-1. So they lose to Notre Dame, win the rest.
I've got them at 11-1 as well. Now let's go to Florida State. We won't give the record out, but how do they start this season? Are they winning or are they losing? And don't forget that you can hear that Florida State LSU game right here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Coverage will be starting right around kickoff time at 6:30. It's going to be great. Cannot wait for that game Sunday evening. That'll be September 3rd. We're so close right now. Florida State, LSU. Who wins?
The Tigers.
You got the Tigers?
We've typically seen, I've talked about it before on the show as well, like that second-year jump from head coaches. I think, year 2 of Brian Kelly, you typically see that the second year of Jaden Daniels in that offense. It's not, does he grow? Does he, evolve in that system like they're hoping he will, like they expect him to? And if they do, then I think LSU will be able to beat them. If not, then Florida State could easily. I don't think it's going to be a big game or a big loss either way. I think you're talking about a 3 to 4 point game, regardless of how it goes. But I think that year 2 bump from Brian Kelly could be enough to get him up.
All right. I've got him losing as well, man. And I'll put it to you like this. I've got them losing, but when I'm watching that game, I'm going to be actively rooting for Florida State.
I want it to be as entertaining a game as last year's.
Yes.
That's what I want.
I want a good game, but I want to see Florida State come out on top again.
That's fair.
I can't even tell you why. I just love that when Florida State is good in this area, when Florida is good in this area. I mean, we're such a melting pot of college football fans that we have just this wide array of fan bases here. And for that, not only am I truly thankful, but I love it because you can go anywhere and you can have any type of conversations and you would never expect that these teams, and it really isn't just college football. It's all sports. I would never imagine we'd have this many Cincinnati Reds fans in the Bay County area, but we do though, and it's a beautiful thing. And when Florida State, Florida, and Miami are playing good football, because you know how many transplants of the SEC fan bases we have and all of the others as well, but when Florida State and Florida and Miami are in the mix, the trash talk just hits another level. So I've got Florida State losing, but I really want to see them win, and especially with it being in Orlando, I think that would be. It'd be pretty cool. It's going to be a game with a lot of fireworks, though. Both teams, I would say, are even better than what they were last year. If there's one team that, like, Florida State has to be better than what they were last year. They had that 3-game stretch, and that was pretty much not the end of their season. They bounced back from it, but that was the telltale sign.
But it ended any legitimate chance they wanted of making a next step.
And they don't really have one of those 3-game stretches, and you can lose to LSU, and the season's not all said and done.
Yeah.
In the same way that Florida State went to New Orleans last year and won and beat LSU, I believe that LSU not more than likely, could come here to Orlando and return the favor to Florida State. All right, moving on to the next game. They've got Southern Miss, win or loss. Win. Boston College on the road, win. We already talked about this. I've got them beating Clemson. I've got them beating Clemson on the road there. Then they get the bye week, which kind of feels a little early for a bye week with
after playing those two teams that early in the season, a bye week is not the worst. I was about to say that's not the worst time in the world.
Right after Clemson, but I always like when we get those bye weeks right before like a tough opponent. Like, so maybe switch that Virginia Tech and Clemson, and then that's the perfect time for a bye week. But also, if you win both the LSU and Clemson game, that's going to be a well-needed bye week. But Norvell's going to have to keep the team.
You have to check yourself a little bit.
Yeah, well, you got to stay focused. I don't even mean just like getting too high, but it's like you can be too celebrated. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, you're kind of forgetting where you came from. I've got them running the table the rest of the way. Virginia Tech, Syracuse, Duke. Those are 3 games all in a row at the house, and they go on a 2-game road trip on the road at Wake Forest and Pitt. I've got them winning both of those.
Yep.
Beating Miami at the house, beating North Alabama at the house in a close one. No, I'm just kidding. And then they've got then they're on the road down there at the Swamp. I got them winning that one.
I've got them losing to Pitt at Pitt.
You got so you got Florida State going 10-2,
9-3,
9-3. Whoa, coach. So all right. So you got them losing to LSU, Clemson, and Pitt.
Yep.
All right.
Which makes it really weird for the ACC title game because I don't know how that tiebreaker works because they lose to Pitt, Pitt loses to North Carolina, and then North Carolina and Florida State don't play.
So Clemson's still the class of the ACC. You don't have anyone else in there with a 10-2. You got North Carolina and Florida State at 9-3, right?
And Pitt.
And Pitt. Oh, that is going to be a crazy.
Did you snick a flask in or something?
Man, that is going to be wild, dude.
Yeah, I don't know how the tiebreakers work there in that situation.
I was thinking my tiebreaker with in the Pac-12 with Ohio State, with Oregon, Washington, and USC all going 11-1, and I'm sitting there. How are they going to figure this out?
Because they both lose 1 out-of-conference game and 2 in-conference games, so you can't even go by conference record.
Right.
There's not a full. I don't know. We'll find out.
We will.
Not my problem to figure it out.
We will find out. Eventual ACC champions is going to be for you.
Clemson.
I'm going with Florida State. I think Florida State wins the ACC this year. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. We're going to take a quick time out. When we return, it'll be our local segment.
ESPN Northwest Florida has the real local fishing report. Hi, this is Tim from Bay Breeze Bait and Tackle. Join me every Friday at 4:20 during the Afternoon Underdogs. It's accurate, detailed content from local anglers, plus fishing updates on Saturday and Sunday morning right when you hit the water. Advice and stories from local anglers. Tune into the Bay Breeze Bait and Tackle Fishing Report, exclusively on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Ellis Agency Insurance has been serving Panama City and Bay County for years. They offer a full line of affordable insurance coverage of all types. Many people are attracted to Ellis Agency Insurance because of their friendly, knowledgeable staff. Call independent agent Johnny Ellis for a true comparison of your personal or business insurance. Ellis Agency Insurance at the Old Cullen Insurance location, 1134 Harrison Avenue, across from Dandy Donuts and Deli. Call 763-1627.
Bay Breeze Bait and Tackle, this is Tim.
Do y'all sell bait?
Yes, we seasonally stock live shrimp, live bull minnows, live sand fleas, live fiddler crabs, earthworms, night crawlers, crickets. We also stock frozen shrimp, sand fleas, mullets, squid, pre-rigged ballyhoo, bonita, stingray, cigar minnows, Boston mackerel, Spanish mackerel, and a few other miscellaneous baits. It's worth the drive to buy premium locally sourced bait from Bay Breeze Bait and Tackle, located directly off Highway 98 on the west end of Panama City Beach.
It moves fast. The High School Spotlight. Weekdays at 5:40.
Let's do it.
Sponsored by Barbaritos. ESPN Northwest Florida.
It is is the final segment of the afternoon for the Afternoon Underdogs. You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida, 104.3 here in Panama City, 101.9 in Port St. Joe. Be sure to tune in for the race to Daytona on the Coach James Hell Show tomorrow morning at 8:45, and keep it locked into ESPN Northwest Florida as we leave you guys, because your Atlanta Braves are coming up next to take on those New York Metropolitans and looking for revenge this evening. First pitch 6:20, coverage starting at 6:20. We talked a little bit about that cooling center a couple of times last week. It is open again today. It was from noon to 5, and it's closed. It will be open tomorrow and the 24th from noon to 5. That is at 2230 15th Street, Panama City, or the Bay County Fairgrounds. So if you feel like you're getting a little too hot, do not hesitate, man. That sun is no joke. The Mosley volleyball team swept Sneads yesterday 3-0 in its regular season opener. They won the first set 25-10. In the second set, it was 25-18, and the third set 25-13. You had three Mosley seniors who kind of led the way. You had outside hitter Marley Middlebrooks. She had 19 kills. Senior Martiza Eddington with 17 digs, and senior setter Jordan Eiford, who had 21 assists. I wonder if there's any relation there to, there's this little like mechanic shop. I think they deal with fancier cars over there off a transmitter, and I think it's called Eiford's Automotive. If so, maybe we can get you on the Mosley football broadcast as a sponsor. Mosley's now 1-0, and they're going to be visiting Childs. That's going to be tomorrow, August 23rd, and Sneads, that's who they ended up beating. They're now 0-1. They're going to be taking on Pensacola Catholic in Pensacola. That'll be Thursday, August 24th, and also Thursday, August 24th. We're going to be doing the Afternoon Underdogs from Tommy Oliver in the booth. And then we're going to take a little hour off. So from 4 to 6, it'll be the Afternoon Underdogs. It's going to be a full college football and high school football preview. I'm going to try to get Coach Andy Siegel up in the building with us, try to get the Rutherford coach, try to get the Mosley coach up there with us. Are you able to put the
headgear on to make your prediction?
Oh, Corso style?
Man. Can we make that happen?
You know what? I'd like to take it a step further and just have Golf World donate like a little dolphin or something. They could just, bring it in a truck over real quick, and like a transport truck or so.
We can call Jim Irsay. He's really big into transporting marine life. So,
dude, did you hear about that though?
The orca thing, yeah.
Yeah, but the whale ended up passing away before they could actually get her out of captivity.
Man, that's crazy.
Yeah, $20 million he was going to pay to get Lolita.
Now that money can go to Jonathan Taylor.
or a trade bait though. And he wants a first. All right, once we're done with local, we're going. Just remind me that we're going to Jonathan Taylor though, because that irked me to an extent what Irsay said. And don't forget, next Tuesday at 5 o'clock, we're going to be talking about a real conference, doing a real record prediction here with the SEC. I'm just messing with you guys. It's kind of a little poke at Barrett for saying that it doesn't surprise him that two SEC fans took LSU over Florida State. Hey, I think it's going to be an evenly matched game.
I mean, it was like a 1-point game last year. Like,
right.
Let's not act like it's not, picking Louisville to beat somebody.
Yeah, and it's not even an SEC thing, because I want Florida State to win the game. I really do. Let's take a quick look, a little overview at the Bay High Tornadoes. They had a great season last year in 2022, and they're looking to build on that. They were 8-3, had they made it to the playoffs, won county and the district championship, but they had 27 players in that senior class. That's a lot of turnover there. So they're looking to rebuild with a younger but less experienced roster. The driving force last year was the trenches. It was watching them against Mosley was like, whoa, man. They had some power on the offensive side and the defensive side, and their defense hits hard as well, and they caused 2 turnovers per game. And they also pulled off 5 consecutive shutouts, which is wow. In high school football, to have your guys humming like that on the defensive side of the ball, that's amazing. On the offensive side, not a single returning player has scored a touchdown at the varsity level. Now, your sophomore quarterback, Zabayon Morgan, he was just in one game last year. The Tornadoes are going to open up the regular season there at Tommy Oliver. They're going to be hosting Arnold. That'll be Friday, August 25th. So cannot wait for a high school football season. It's going to be a great year. You can listen to Mosley Rutherford Thursday at 7 o'clock right here on ESPN Northwest Florida. I'll be doing the play-by-play. Kyle Wright will be my partner in crime with the color commentary. I guess not crime necessarily, but sometimes I was going to make a sly remark at Kyle, but I don't think he would like that, so I'm actually just going to back away from that whole statement there. Over the weekend, the Gulf Coast volleyball team, they traveled up to Rockford, Illinois. They had a season-opening tournament there where they faced 4 teams who were all ranked inside the top 10. The Commodores went 3-1 in those games. They had wins over the number 10 seed Kirkwood, the number 6 seed Grand Rapids, and the number 3 seed Parkland. Their lone loss was to the 3 seed in Johnson County. That was Saturday morning. They're now headed back for their home opener, which is going to be this Thursday, August 24th. They're taking on Coastal Alabama South at 5 p.m. Tyler, Jonathan Taylor, what in the world's going on? They've given him permission now to seek a trade, but they're wanting a first-round draft pick or the equivalent thereof. Make it make sense.
Yeah, it's kind of like, oh, we don't want to pay him, but we want a first-round pick for him, right?
Yeah. How do you get off saying that?
It's going to be an interesting situation because I wonder if it ends up playing out kind of similar to the way the Lamar thing did, right? Like everybody thought, Lamar was asking for what he was asking for. Nobody wanted to do that. They were trying to reset the quarterback market as far as guaranteed money to an extent, right? Mm-hmm. So I wonder if maybe, he's like, hey, go get a trade, see what you can get to kind of help with because with all the attention being paid to running backs this offseason, and are they not getting paid enough? So I wonder if there's not some of that kind of element to it, like, hey, you better bring us a heck of a deal because we're not going to just give you away for peanuts, even though we don't want to pay you either, which is a whole different thing. But I think it's clear that he's not happy in Indianapolis. But I thought the same thing about Lamar, though. I thought talk with Lamar had gotten so bad there's no way he would re-sign with Baltimore, and here we are.
Yeah, especially after some of the details that kind of come out.
I'll say never on him coming back to Indianapolis, but I'm interested to see, does he get traded, where he goes, and what do they actually end up getting for him? Because you can say you want a first-round pick all you want to, but if
that don't mean you're getting it. Or the equivalent of a first-round pick, which is what?
2 or 3 twos.
A second and 3?
I mean, I don't even know.
Or a second and third?
I don't even know if that's equivalent to a first round pick. Yeah. If you're looking at the old school value chart that Jimmy Johnson came up with for trades, but I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. I'd love to see him in a few different places. Like, I know Mixon just redid his deal, but I think him in the Cincinnati offense would be really interesting. I think him in I think him in Carolina is a very interesting option with the right connection. You got a rookie quarterback. How do we take pressure off him? You bring in a guy like Jonathan Taylor.
That's impressive right off the top of the head, because we were going through this today on the Inside Drive, and I felt like I went through all 31 teams and was like,
I know they signed Miles Sanders. I don't know what the deal looks like, but if they can get Jonathan Taylor to help out Bryce Young, it gives them a weapon on that offense, because who's their best weapon right now?
And how much can you really believe in Miles Sanders? Like, he had a 1,000-yard season last year. One of the first times that he kind of met some of the expectations that were hurled his way. But then with Chuba Hubbard, I feel like he's still, I don't know, man. I want to believe in him, but I still think that his leash has still got some length to it. You know what I mean? And now with Miles Sanders, he doesn't have to be the guy, which almost is a setback to an extent. But I like the Jonathan Taylor to the Panthers. What about the Dolphins? That's been the one that's been murmured and rumored the most.
I mean, that'd be fun. I'd be kind of surprised. I mean, I guess, Shanahan did, trade for McCaffrey. So I would kind of think that offense, and especially like Shanahan's dad was kind of the one who made, I'm not going to say running backs valueless, but I mean, just kind of proved that he could plug anybody into a system and run for 1,200 yards for a while there. But, but they've got kind of a crowded backfield. Nobody's starred. But, they've got Mostert. They've got...
you got Jeff Wilson Jr. You got Myles Gaskin there. You still got Devin Achaney from Texas A&M.
Yeah, they've definitely put some whatever. I'm interested to see what they actually end up doing. All the trade talks or whatever, and we'll see.
Now I know that Taylor's got he's a speed. He possesses speed, but I look at him as more of a power over speed. Do you agree with that, or would you consider him more in the speed department and he comes with some power?
No, I think definitely. I mean, I'm not saying he's slow, but I don't think he's not known as a burner. Jonathan Taylor scares me as a prospect, though. And I mean, just going forward, because of his initial not coming out of college was the wear and tear.
Yeah.
And it's not like Indianapolis used him lightly. So, I mean, do you believe you're getting 3-4 good years out of him, or do you think he's going to be iffy in 2? And it's just at that point, what's the value of that if you're not a win-now team?
And so for a win-now team, well, the Dolphins would be a win-now team.
The Dolphins, I think, are considered a win-now team. The Panthers are not, but I could see them using him to stabilize their team to go as they grow. But I mean, outside of that, if you're not the Bills or the Chiefs or I would say the Eagles, but I think they make smarter moves than spending too much on a running back. I know they just brought in Swift, but Roseman doesn't strike me as a guy that's going to go out and spend big money on a running back. I have nothing to base that off. The little bit I've seen of him.
I don't know if this team has the space to make this happen, but you see what the Eagles are doing, right? And they bring in anyone that they can bring in if it makes financial sense for them. They've got an all-star squad, as you said earlier. If you take quarterbacks off the roster, they might have the most talented roster in the NFL. A team that beat them in the Super Bowl last year. How about the Kansas City Chiefs?
I love it. I'd love to see Patrick Mahomes with, I'm not going to say a legitimate running back, because I don't think that's fair to some of the guys he's played with, but a true top tier or considered top tier running back.
Right.
Because I mean, if you look at that offense, I mean, you have Patrick Mahomes who just elevates everybody there, and you got Travis Kelce, who's arguably one of the best tight ends to ever play the game. But who's their second best weapon? Is it Jerick McKinnon? Is it Isaiah Pacheco? I mean, is it MVS? Is it
who's the Rashee Rice?
Rashee Rice. I mean, he's a rookie.
Yeah.
How long does it take for his light to come on? I mean, Justin
Ross
would
almost be scary, and it's scary for two ways: how good the Chiefs could be. Secondarily, if you're a fantasy owner and Travis Kelce is your tight end,
but
I'm saying you don't have Jonathan Taylor on your team, though. I feel like Jonathan Taylor is a guy who could take some points away from Travis Kelce, just how good he is in the passing game.
Oh, maybe.
Not a whole ton. Travis Kelce would still be tight end 1, but Travis Kelce right now is tight end 1 in all the rankings, but he's up there with some wide receivers.
It's the biggest positional mismatch in all of fantasy football.
He'd be like wide receiver 6 or something.
Yeah, no, he'd be like a top 5 wide receiver the past 4 seasons. Something crazy. There's a lot of fun teams, and I want to see. And I wonder, are they going to have to agree to a contract before they trade for him? Because who's going to want to trade significant value for a 1-year rental? Because right now I think he's only got 1 year left on his deal, and that's kind of how all this started. But I think there's some interesting options out there. I wonder if we could see an Indianapolis Colts or an Indianapolis Chargers trade. Because I mean, Eckler was wanting a trade.
So Eckler goes to the Colts. Ooh,
I don't know.
Because the Chargers were mentioned when we were talking about it on the Inside Drive, and I'm like, man, if you want to just go ahead and tick Austin Eckler off. And
he wanted to be traded, maybe. I don't think that'd make Eckler any happier, but.
Would you do that? Would you do Jonathan Taylor? If you're from the Chargers' perspective, right? Would you trade Austin Eckler for Jonathan Taylor?
I don't know how long Eckler's under contract for, but I would imagine he's cheaper option, or I would imagine Taylor's the cheaper option right now.
Yeah.
So if you need to clear some space this year, I don't think it's the worst way to go.
And then what if, let's say they make that trade, and then the day after the season, whenever they can extend players again, contractually speaking, and they give Austin Eckler the bag. It would not happen if he gets injured and misses 9 games or whatever, like Jonathan Taylor did a year ago. Or was it even 9 games? I don't even know how many games he missed, because I know he tried to come back, but they just didn't utilize him very well last year. And a part of that was because they were falling apart so early because they used Band-Aids instead of stitches. You know what I mean? The quarterback position, they've just continuously ripped it off. They haven't had a quarterback start back-to-back years since Andrew Luck in 2015 and 2016. He was injured in 2017, so I believe it was Scott Tolzien or something like that. Then Luck came back 2018, and then from then on, it was just serviceable quarterbacks, and then also guys who are past their prime, and that's just not a way to do it in the National Football League.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just, if you don't have consistency at the quarterback position, what are you doing with your life? I mean, unless you look into somebody like Tom Brady or I would say Russell Wilson, but he hadn't proven anything stable yet in Denver. But, man, the Anthony Richardson thing is going to be a fun one to watch.
Think the 49ers could end up trading Trey Lance by the trade deadline? What is
Trey Lance's value? I mean, are they getting
unknown?
Is he almost not more valuable as a backup quarterback?
But what have we seen from him that makes him valuable?
I don't know.
Like, I think that a team could steal him for a third or fourth. I don't think that Kyle Shanahan would do it because of the situation that they were in last year, though.
Yeah.
You can't just say that it's going to be Brock Purdy or Sam Darnold because you were on your fourth quarterback in the NFC Championship game and he got knocked out. So I think you got to hold on to Trey Lance.
They saw something from him to move up from 23 to 3 or whatever it was. They saw some enough for him to be the starter last year and got rid of Jimmy G. So
we got to roll, man. Sorry that I took you down that tangent. We're out for the day. Your Atlanta Braves are coming up next. Make sure you're tuned into the Coach James Hale Show, especially at 8:45 for the race to Daytona. Y'all have a great one. We'll see you tomorrow.
ESPN Northwest Florida. It's the Coach James Hale Show.
No, that's all right. Let me tell you this.
I'm just trying to add to the conversation.
You're doing good. You're doing good.
I'm stealing his thunder now. Wow.